All right, sorry for starting late. It's 7:04. I will call to order. I'll start by calling the roll. Let's see, this list is by, let's see. Oh, I got one. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Yay. Commissioner Bishop Henchman, present. Commissioner Galvan.
Present.
Commissioner Hurst. I'll skip. Commissioner Pinckney.
Here.
Commissioner Sani.
Yep.
Commissioner Williams.
She appears to be on.
Oh, she is there. Let me make her close. That's going to mute. See her there, Jim? Yeah.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
There.
I'm here.
There
Finally
we go.
got it on.
All right.
Sorry about that.
So that's everyone but Commissioner Hurst. Is Commissioner Hurst here?
I do not see him online.
Okay. So for now, it's 6 present. We do have quorum. All right. We will start off with public comment, 10 minutes up to 2 minutes per speaker. Welcome. We start every meeting with this. It does not need to be about an agenda item. I do ask that you try to keep it to 2 minutes so that we can hear from everybody who may want to speak. And we'll start with people in the room and then go to anyone online. So if anybody in the room wants to address the commission and everyone listening, raise your hand and we'll do that. All right. We'll start with the folks from the ATC.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kylan Boardman-Scheuer. I'm the Deputy Assistant Superintendent for Post-Second Career Ed at the Office of the State Department of Education. And I'm here on behalf of the Advanced Technical Center, which is your newest neighbor, right around the corner at 1709 3rd Street. I know my colleague Andrea Zimmerman was here a couple months ago to talk to you all about what the ATC was and the programming that we're doing, so I won't go into that detail. Except to say that we are a dual enrollment CTE, Career Technical Education facility for high school students from across the city. So students come to take nursing or cybersecurity classes at the ATC. We're really excited to be here, really thrilled to be putting that building back into productive use. But we wanted to come tonight and just acknowledge that there's been some impact to your community, especially around traffic congestion, and we want to acknowledge that why that has happened thus far is because our approach for transporting students, we have 191 students coming to the ATC on a daily basis over 3 different sessions, one morning, one mid-morning, one afternoon, and the way we're transporting those kids as of right now is through cabs. That was a perfect model when we had 96 students and we were over at Trinity. As we scaled up, we are finding that that's a more cumbersome approach. So we have 72 cabs that are coming to and from the ATC throughout the day, every single day. And that has caused some very serious traffic congestion. We just want to acknowledge that and apologize for that. And we want to talk a little bit, with 26 seconds to go, what we're actually trying to do. So we are trying to shift away from the cab-based transportation and are hoping over the next 2 months to be able to shift more, if not all, of our students into a bus approach, which would go from, instead of having 72 cabs, we would have probably anywhere between 6 to 10 buses over the course of the day coming and going, which again would alleviate a lot of that congestion. The other aspect, if you indulge me for just a few more seconds, the other aspect that we're looking at is we've been working with DDOT, and actually I'm here, Sherry Vincent is here. She's a contractor with DGS, and she's been working very closely with DDOT around creating some school-based parking restrictions just for the areas directly connected to the ATC. So that would be that one block in front of our building on 3rd Street, and then Randolph and R Street. We would have parking restrictions during the school day, so 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. There would be parking restrictions so that those buses could come up and park out of the way of traffic, and then kids would be able to come out of the ATC, get on the buses. We may need to maybe keep anywhere between 10 to 20 cabs, depending on what the bus contract ends up looking like. But anyways, the parking restrictions would allow for that to happen without any double parking, without any of the traffic congestion that has resulted over the last couple months. and in a much safer way for our students, which is, of course, our number one priority, is making sure our students are safe getting in and out of the ATC. So I'm going to stop there and open it up for any questions or concerns with our approach.
We do we can do it that way if people have comments they want to make, especially on the transportation, which I know that's news. And thank you for sharing that update. Other public comment from the room. Anyone online? If you're online, you can use the raise hand feature, and we'll call on you to address the commission.
I do not see any raised hands.
Any more? All right. With that, we'll close public comment. We'll do response to public comment.
I do not record.
Oh, okay. We gotta hit record. I've got 6 minutes of audio on the.
I can edit that in.
Okay. Great. We'll do response to public comment if any commissioner wants to respond to anything that was said. So my district's the one with the ATC in it, and so I'm the one who's been getting the concerns about transportation. So I do appreciate the update. And I did see a lot of people here at the open house just before that, and thank you for your hospitality and opening your doors to the neighbors on that. I know a lot of people were very interested to see like the very practical skills that students are learning on nursing and cybersecurity, and those mannequins are very lifelike. They're going to haunt me in my dreams. The main update, from what I understand on transportation, is right now there's 70 cabs coming from all over the city, mostly showing up at a big cluster in the morning, and it's leading to double parking and problems on 3rd Street primarily, but also kind of all around the block. And so appreciate that there's been a commitment made here to rely more on buses and less on cabs, and try to cluster things and minimize the buses. There is that lot, which is only 10 spaces, but certainly maximizing use of that. There is, the current plan is, in the transportation plan, is to do restricted parking on 3rd on school days between 7 and 5, I think. So I would especially be interested in, for anybody listening or anybody that reads this in the report, what they think of that, because I think there is desire to make sure this works for the neighborhood. So if that's something that we want to visit and talk about, I think that's possible. So that's kind of where it's at right now, and so we'll want to see where people are with it. So I'll leave it there, and thank you again for sharing that update. Any other commissioner want to respond to public comments?
Yeah, I'll just mention that I've also heard of metro buses having a challenge at that particular corner because people are parking all the way back, and there's no restriction there. I know I've had some conversations with DDOT about getting updated, moving that forward so that they can actually make that turn without having to back up in the middle of the intersection. So I hear that's coming, but I just don't have a date on it. So if you're in contact with DDOT, maybe a reminder would help as well. I think it's just moving one car length is all that's needed on the east side of 3rd Street at the corner of 3rd North. That's all I have.
Great. With that, I'll close the response to public comment. We'll move to approval of the agenda. I know there's some new faces, so I'll kind of lay out how we do this to make sure there's public notice. Every commissioner is asked to submit any action item 10 days prior to the meeting, so 10 days ago, among the commissioners. And then I have the ministerial task of assembling all of those into an agenda. So I don't get to pick what, this isn't the Speaker of the House. I don't get to pick what makes it to a vote and what doesn't. So everything goes onto the agenda, the draft agenda, proposed agenda. And that's what's circulated 7 days in advance and goes onto the website. And we endeavor to include not just the title of something we're doing, but the full text so that everybody can see it and come prepared to talk about it or ask for changes and everything. In this case, I think everything on the list was noticed, but we did not necessarily have the text of everything until I think some things actually came in today. It is all updated on the website, but I think we need to confirm that like everything matches now with the agenda, because it is a proposed agenda and now we've got to adopt the full agenda. And people may have changes. In fact, I have one change. So that's a bit of introduction on the agenda. Let me open it up for any changes that any commissioner may have to the agenda. Commissioner Sani.
Yes, I don't want to make excuses, but due to me not getting a phone number from APCA, I was unable to start the negotiation with the Brooklyn Market and Delhi around potential settlement agreement. So I would like to put forward to the commission to give me permission to negotiate a settlement agreement and submit that to APCA as the protest deadline is before our next meeting.
It's Brooklyn, what's the name of the
Supermarket in Delhi,
Brooklyn Supermarket.
and I believe I have the license number if you want to have that in.
Why don't we say that for the record?
It is Abra-1111, that's 4 ones, 72.
Pretty good number. All right, Commissioner, oh. Sorry, we gave your chair away, Commissioner. Commissioner Sani has moved to, correct me if I get this wrong, to amend the agenda to add as an action item authorization to Commissioner Sani to protest or enter into a settlement agreement with Brooklyn Supermarket in Delhi, license 11172.
111, that would yes.
111172.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Is there any objection? Without objection. Other amendments? Let me just, just to be always on the safe side, Commissioner Sani had his resolution, his actual text of his resolution on the NOI for North Capitol and Rhode Island, the settlement agreement with Dance Place. Commissioners Galvan and Sani had an updated draft of their Ivy City resolution. And then actually have a deletion on 14B, appointment of Elena Pitt. She's not able to accept the appointment. She's had some development, so I'd want to strike that. So I'd move en masse to include on the agenda, which is already distributed, the resolution on NOI 23206 TESD, the Dance Place settlement agreement, the new draft of the Ivy City, and the budget that Commissioner Anderson distributed that one as well as the deleting the appointment of Elena Pitt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any discussion on that? That was a lot of things. All right, any objection? All right, without objection. Other amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, the chair will move to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Sorry, I had my hand up. I didn't
Oh.
know if you all could see it.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Anderson, but you got it in the nick of time. Did you have another amendment?
I'd love to add the case for 1941 2nd Street Northeast to other reports and presentations.
So that's as a discussion item?
A discussion item to follow up on their presentation from last month.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson moved to add as 13G 1941 2nd Street. That's a zoning application. Is there a second to add that?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there objection? All right, without objection. All right. It was moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there objection? We are set to go. All right. First item is referral of items to committees. None were submitted to me, but I'm welcome to do that at this point if anybody has any items they want committees to take a look at. We are, I think, up and running on all but one of our committees at this point, which is good. And in fact, we will be considering a resolution tonight that was primarily drafted by the Transportation Committee. So we'll see what we think of their work. Did anybody have any item they want to send to committee for analysis or review? Not seeing any, so we will leave it at that. All right, so I will conclude that. Our next item is approval of the minutes of the September 26th meeting. Commissioner Galvan.
Yep, the minutes were delivered in early October and posted to the website shortly thereafter. Didn't receive many updates to that, so I'd like a motion to approve the September 26th commission meetings as drafted.
Commissioner Galvan moves to adopt the minutes. Let me first ask if there's anybody has any amendments or changes to the minutes of the meeting. Not seeing anybody. All right, Commissioner Galvan's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there objection? Without objection. All right, we're moving along. Officer reports. I'm up first. Hello, my name is Joe Bishop Henchman. Have the privilege of being the chair of the 5F Commission. Everybody laughs because I give the speech every meeting, but there's new people every month. 5F is a brand new commission this year. We cover Eckington and Edgewood. Before there used to be a commission that covered Bloomingdale and Eckington and Edgewood, so we're kind of on our own now without Bloomingdale. But doing a lot of important work. ANCs are your closest level of government, primarily focused on zoning, transportation, and business license issues, but certainly able to help out on a lot of different things. Thank you all for joining us. I know it's not everybody's idea of a good time to participate in your local government, but we're pleased to have you here. Our meetings are and have always been hybrid, both in person and virtual. In fact, I've got a resolution about that particular issue later on in the meeting. And we certainly welcome everybody here. Thank you for coming. I have one item I just wanted to share with everybody in case there's always a lot of emails, but public safety is obviously top of mind for a lot of us in the neighborhood. I'm sure, I just want to be upfront in that, I'm not a stranger to public safety issues. I had a friend visit, his car got stolen. We've got another friend held at gunpoint. I mean, we are living it just as much as everybody else is, and it is unfortunate and painful that probably everybody in this room could tell a story like that too. The mayor announced yesterday a new bill on public safety. I don't have spin or talking points on it. We do have a representative of the mayor's office, so maybe we'll hear a little bit about what is in the bill. But I did want to highlight that tomorrow, Councilmember Parker is doing a public safety call with a lot of different public safety entities. It is at 3 p.m., which is, I know, is not always convenient for a lot of people, but is convenient for the agency. So, and if you RSVP information was in his most recent email newsletter, but if you can't find that or didn't find that, certainly let me know if you want to RSVP for it and connect you with it. So I'm hoping that will be a constructive discussion. I think I will leave it there.
I've got the mayor's points.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to, the points from the article.
Oh, on the mayor's bill?
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. So this is from I think it's the mayor's press release. Let's see. Give law enforcement more tools to hold criminals accountable and keep neighbors safe. Let's see. Combat organized retail theft, addressing loitering around open air drug markets, making it unlawful to use masks for committing criminal acts, creating a distinction between serious use of force and incidental contact with the neck, allows officers to review body-worn camera footage prior to writing their police report, makes permanent clarification of vehicular pursuit, and defines what information will be posted publicly related to officer discipline. So I'm sure this is just the beginning of a very long council discussion of that proposal, and certainly make your voice heard, whatever it may be on that legislation. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, next is Vice Chair, Commissioner Anderson.
Hi, I yield. Sorry, I'm in transit.
No problem. Treasurer, Commissioner Hurst.
Hello, my name is Commissioner Hurst. I did want to make sure that I'm also putting in one news item. I am a proud DC school teacher, as well as the building rep for my union. One of the things the union is fighting for right now is to get DC public schools to sit down and actually to present a contract or to negotiate a contract for the next 5 years. I know you may have heard that we just got our contract for 5 years. Well, when it was 4.5 years late, that meant that we had a great contract for 6 months, and now we are yet again negotiating for a new contract. There was a unanimous school board, the DC school board voted unanimously to ask DC public schools to please sit down at the table and start negotiating. And I would second that. As a union member and as a teacher, it would feel good if there was good faith negotiations. So that'd be my one public issue that I want to make sure is spoken of. For our quarterly financial report, we have spent no money in the last 1 month time, which means that we still have a standing bank balance at Industrial Bank of $17,813.67. They still have granted us access to all of the other ANC's bank information. So we still have a great purview to view everyone else's information as well and make sure that they're also being transparent, which feels great. But yes, we do not have a lot of banking to report. We do not have any bank fees that have been charged. So we are at exactly the same point as last meeting at $17,813.67 in our industrial bank.
Any questions or discussion?
A question. What is the ANC, first time in person here, what does the ANC do with the money usually?
That's a
Great question. Yeah, well, as a new ANC, we're figuring that out as well. There are ways that we can give grants. We can use it to do communication and to buy technology for communication. There's certain very specific categories that we can spend it on. We can't throw a party. So,
And in fact, it'll come up later today because we'll be
yes,
considering our budget for the next fiscal year. Other questions from commissioners? No one online? All right. Thank you, Commissioner Hurst. Secretary, Commissioner Galvan.
Hi, my name is Mark Galvan. I'm the secretary for 5F Commission. Just wanted to let folks know, if you didn't already, that we typically post meeting minutes about a week or two after the meeting. They're usually fairly detailed, but we also post the recording at similar time so that folks can go back and watch anything if they missed anything. So the website is also updated with resolutions and any responses to the resolutions from government agencies under the documents portion. So I encourage folks to take a look at that if they are interested in what's going on. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Galvan. That concludes officer reports. We'll go into committee and task force reports. Alcohol licensing, Ms. Coughlin. And happy late birthday to Ms. Coughlin. I think it was yesterday.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Melissa Coughlin. I'm the chair for the Alcohol Licensing Committee. So a couple of updates for us. We had our first committee meeting last Tuesday. We had a couple of our appointed ALC reps in attendance, as well as Commissioner Sani and Bishop Henchman. We reviewed our committee charter and some other supporting documents. We've chosen the second Tuesday of the month as a regular meeting day and time. We'll meet on Zoom or a similar platform just for ease of access. The meetings will be at 7 o'clock. These will obviously be open to the public, and we will have everything related to that committee, including agendas, meeting links, minutes, etc., up in the appropriate spot on the 5F website so that people can see what's going on in that space. They can see what we're going to talk about. They can bring any concerns about different licenses or establishments that are up for renewal. We also talked about the ABCA applications for Dance Place, Brooklyn Supermarket and Deli, and Sun Market. We'll talk more about Dance Place later. But the committee and commissioners recommended settlement agreements for the other two businesses, with the idea behind that being that we want to try to raise the bar for these establishments with regards to being good neighbors, especially for trash, noise, and crime. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is that we actually made a feedback form for our neighbors to kind of submit real-time feedback, concerns, complaints, and compliments about establishments in 5F that serve alcohol. This is not a replacement for the official ABCA complaint form found online, but we all think that it will really, really help the committee in forming opinions, especially around renewals, because we don't all live right next to these places or have access to the constituent complaints the way the commissioners do. I'm gonna send it to whoever is in charge of the meeting. There's a link if you want to put it in the chat for everybody else. And this will get up on the website at some point in the future. If you think you're on the committee but haven't been getting information about it, let me know. It's just my name at gmail.com. It's melissacoughlin@gmail.com. And I look forward to talking with everyone the second Tuesday of November. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? All right. Next will be the Public Safety, Health, and Community Engagement Committee, Commissioner Gelbon.
Yes, thank you so much. So this committee has had a lot of focus recently on developing resources to get information out to neighbors about specifically public safety information. We've actually created, there's a lot of public safety information out there. Let me be clear. This is really just kind of a snapshot of the highlights, different government entities and information that may be relevant, that maybe most other folks don't know about. We also have a flyer on public safety, public health related items as well. And then finally, a third sheet, which is just kind of what is the ANC? Why would you get in contact with commissioners? You know, kind of the who, what, when, where, why about the commission itself. In addition to that, I want to thank the committee on a lot of its effort, specifically Daniel Ehrenpreis, who's in the room here today, who has done a tremendous amount of consolidating a lot of the resources across the government agencies. And I think we were talking before this meeting about how many different government agencies there are in DC proper. And
learning about a new one every week.
And how most people don't even have any clue that there are so many things that are available to residents. And so we created a spreadsheet, which is also posted on our website under the committee section. I encourage you guys to take a look at that. It's a spreadsheet which has got lots of great tabs on it, and it's filterable and all of that. So I encourage folks to take a look at those particular things. Also today, I'm planning on stepping down as the chair for the committee, mostly because I'm running out of capacity, bandwidth, and this committee really needs someone who can give it the kind of time it deserves. So I'll be nominating Daniel Ehrenpreis, who's here today. He's been a great, really helpful resource to the committee, and I'm excited that he's been willing to take it on. So there are several other committee members who have been part of it. Recognize Lucas Aboski and also Jaira Aki as well, who have been consistently joining and helping out to develop these resources. And I encourage the more feedback, the more engagement we can get, the better it'll be. So if you're interested, please get in touch with me, and I'm happy to connect anyone on that front. that being said, I think that's all for me.
Any questions for Commissioner Galvin? All right, thank you.
Thank him for his hard work on the committee.
Oh, thank you.
And he's got it up and running and handing off to capable hands, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you.
Next, Transportation and Public Space, Commissioner Sani.
Yes, so the Transportation and Public Space Committee, TAPS for short, we met a few weeks ago and we discussed a handful of issues. There was a resolution referred down to the committee around looking at 4th Street Northeast and some of the other north-south roads that kind of cut through the commission area and see if they're kind of meeting the mark for safety. I think a few weeks prior to that, large number of the members of the committee actually did a walk, and I think Commissioner Galvin joined in just to take it in firsthand and see what there was. And so we spent most of that meeting discussing the various things people saw. A lot of it was like, oh, these crosswalks aren't painted all the way through, or like the sidewalks here are extremely narrow. So like a full range of kind of things that would fit into the transportation and public space domain. And so our goal now is to kind of shake those out into things that could be comprehensive resolutions or referrals that we would submit up to the full commission for action, or potential action, I should say. Then another thing had been forwarded down to us was the NOI for the DDOT put out around reconfiguring the traffic patterns around North Capitol and Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. Specifically, they want to and this is on the agenda as a potential, as a resolution we'll vote on potentially, but we discussed the pros and cons of it. We kind of teased it out, and we had received some answers to some of our questions earlier from DDOT and other parties who had meetings with DDOT. So we kind of assembled our shared kind of opinion, and we submitted it up to the commission, and that will be something we will discuss and vote on today. And then finally, we voted on a recurring meeting date. This is important because it's easier to get people engaged when you have a consistent schedule. And the Transportation and Public Spaces Committee will now be meeting on the first Tuesdays of the month, virtually, most likely via Zoom at 7:30 p.m. And yes, that is it for the TAPS Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Sani. Any questions for Commissioner Sani? Not seeing any. Okay. I'm sorry, Commissioner Galvin, on public space, is there a set meeting date?
No,
Okay.
it's not. We coordinate with the committee members and pick a new time. The next meeting will be in December, but the date has not been finalized.
Okay. Given that, well, this may be a directive to your successor, but to make sure that we're getting the word out publicly to not just commissioners, but members of the public about whatever the meeting date may be, if it's moving around every month.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Zoning development, we do not have a report yet. Task Force and Outreach, Commissioner Sani.
Yeah, so obviously, we were very fortunate to receive a technical grant from OAMC to buy the meeting equipment, because when we started, as we were fond to say, with $0, and we actually were negative for a while. We're now above that, as you heard earlier from Commissioner Hurst's report. But we are now considering what we need to do to further the engagement at these meetings. And so part of that is we have discussions via email, but my responsibility was kind of assembling the asks for the budget for next year around. We didn't have a screen, so when people are sharing presentations, it can be kind of hard for y'all here to see it. And so our goal is to make these meetings as engaging for everyone involved, be it hybrid or in person, or be it remote or in person. So we assembled some asks for the budget for that, and that will be part of the budgetary discussion today. That is it for outreach.
Any questions for Commissioner Sani? All right. Library Task Force, do we have a chair for that? I don't think we do. All right.
I think when it was created, there wasn't a.
Okay, well, hint to the members of the Library Task Force, we're looking for a chair. There was an exchange of emails today with the DC Public Library to basically say that, no news yet, but it sounds like they're assembling, identifying possible locations in Eckington and Edgewood where a library may go, and then once they have that, beginning the public engagement discussion. So if you're new, we have in the city budget funds to construct a library in Eckington or Edgewood. I don't know, the Eckington Edgewood Library. It's not an either or thing. It's one library for our neighborhoods. Well, a big question will be where will it go and what services will it provide? And this task force was set up to help answer those questions in collaboration with the public library. And we're certainly looking for more members to it if that's an interesting question for you. Anything else on library?
No question on that.
All right.
Who sit on, like, do members of the community sit on these committees, or is it all?
It's all members of the community, yeah. And there's information on a tab on our website on each of the committees and how to sign up, or you can ask your commissioner.
Cool, thank
Yeah. We're welcome it. All right, I think that concludes committee and task force updates. Next is presentations relating to agenda items. And I don't think we had any, but if I'm wrong on that, somebody tell me. All right, seeing none, the next is a second round of public comment, and this is specifically on agenda items. So if you're here to address any of the action items on our agenda, and by the way, I do have like full packets with all of the action items that we'll be considering here if you don't have it on your phone or whatever. This would be the time to do it. So I'll open it up for any public comment on any of the items that we'll be voting on tonight. Start within the room and then we'll go online. Not seeing anyone in the room. Anyone online?
If you're online, could you raise your hand? Not seeing.
All right. So with that, the next item is the consent agenda. So everything submitted automatically goes on the consent agenda and then can be removed from it by any commissioner. That's what these post-its here are for, but we can go through it. So what I have is A is the discussion of the budget, the adoption of the budget. B is the NOI on North Capitol and Rhode Island. C is the Dance Place Settlement Agreement, resolution adopting that. D is the resolution endorsing request for no parking sign at 3rd and R. E is a resolution endorsing litter can installations at various locations. F is resolution endorsing modification of the ANC statute to allow permanent hybrid or virtual meetings, modernize public notice methods. G is resolution supporting analysis and consideration of a DC child tax credit to the Tax Revision Commission. H is resolution supporting closing and removal of the National Engineering Products Chemical Facility located in Ivy City, Northeast Washington, D.C. And then I is authorizing Commissioner Sani to either protest or enter into a settlement agreement with Brooklyn Supermarket and Deli. Does any commissioner wish to remove any of those items from the consent agenda for discussion?
Yes.
Just shout them out.
B and H.
I'll do A. Sorry. Any further? Commissioner Galvan, did you have amendments on the litter can?
Yes,
Okay,
I
let's
did.
pull-
I'm sorry,
let's
I
pull
wasn't
E
sure
also.
if that was,
Let's
yeah,
pull E.
yeah, apologies.
Other people might too. You threw one request in. And then all right. Any others? All right. So what I see left is C, settlement agreement with Dance Place. D, no parking signs 3rd and R. F, hybrid virtual. G, DC child tax credit. I, Brooklyn Supermarket and Deli. So I will move, the chair moves to adopt those items en masse on the, as one group in the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. So we will call the roll. As for adoption of the consent agenda, Commissioner Anderson.
Hi. Just to clarify, I'm speaking on the budget, correct?
Yeah, the budget was pulled, so we're doing that. Yeah.
Great. So if you all take a look at the
No, no, no,
budget,
sorry, we're not there yet. We're voting on the consent agenda, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. I apologize. So I vote aye.
Okay. Commissioner Bishop Hench votes aye. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Okay, there we go. Aye.
All right. I have 7 yes, 0 no. The consent agenda is adopted. All right. Now we'll move to action items, and the first one is adoption of the 2024 ANC 5F budget. Which, by the way, it says 2023 in the resolution, so probably have to fix that, but we'll save that for a moment. Commissioner Anderson, now please speak on the budget draft.
Sorry. Okay. If you all looked at the previous budget, you'll see a lot of similarities between that one and this one. I asked all the commissioners to send in any additional budget requests, and those have been incorporated. The big differences between, as we all know, we were a new commission at the beginning of the year, so the budget that we adopted was basically based on what we thought we may need as a commission. Some of the budget items that we had set aside for acquisition of certain equipment, furniture, those types of acquisitions have not yet been made until we found a more permanent space to hold our meetings, which we now have. A couple of notable expenditures that have been added into the budget, as Commissioner Sani was talking about earlier in the meeting, we would love to be able to continue the hybrid meeting format and be able to add some resources to be able to make that hybrid experience better for both participants who are in person and virtually. A couple additional items have been added there. I also upped the furniture budget so that we were able to have proper kind of locked storage for some of the items that we are planning on acquiring. And the other big budget item is grants. I know grants are top of mind for folks, and we had waited to implement them until we had additional guidance from the OANC on what would the OANC recently issued guidance on what ANCs. So OANC is the Office of ANCs, which is the district agency that kind of helps provide guidance on how ANCs operate. They recently issued guidance on what types of items and projects that the ANC grants could support, and also created kind of a cover sheet, basically, that all grantees need to fill out. And we wanted to make sure that our process was in line with that. We are looking forward to implementing that as part of that, and kind of the desire from many commissioners to make sure that we're spending a bulk of our budget to community grants. I've added in an expenditure for, I think it's Q2 for 7,500, and then I think it's 10,000 for Q4. I made them in separate allotments so that, I imagine that the first time we run grants, we may have a bit of a learning curve. So I wanted to start with a smaller amount and then go to a larger amount in Q4. But happy to answer any questions. But thinking of this as kind of a community rather than a budget that I put together on my priorities, I tried to incorporate priorities that were submitted by other commissioners as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. We'll open up for questions, discussion, amendments from commissioners.
Excellent job, Commissioner Anderson. I really appreciate your time and effort on this. I especially like the grants. I'm excited to be able to see in our budget, an allotment that we can consider directly supporting our community. I felt was an important piece, and it's, I think, well supported in our budget.
I have a question.
Commissioner Williams. Go for it.
She stated that we decided on a permanent meeting location. one, when was that decided? And two, where is it?
May I respond?
Excuse me?
Oh, so I may have misspoken. I know that we haven't decided on a permanent location. I think I wanted to. I know that the community space in that the folks who are meeting in person is available to us. I know we were trying to figure out a place where we could store some supplies, and I know that we haven't necessarily decided on a permanent meeting location. And one of the ideas that has been floated is that 6 months of the year it's in Edgewood, 6 months of the year it's in Ackington. Mostly, I was speaking to kind of a more established place that wasn't someone's home that we could store printers or some of the other office other supplies that we were thinking of acquiring, because it needs to be in a place that's locked but it is accessible to commissioners.
Okay. So you want to add a printer to our 5F when the Wilson building has given us access to unlimited
So
printing?
yeah, so I think that's a good point, and I'm happy to discuss that too. I know that the Wilson, for large printing jobs, that the Wilson building is available to us. And that is more of a commercial size printer. We had added into the budget kind of a more for smaller jobs. But if that is not a good use of the budget, I'd be happy to discuss taking that off too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just want to know about double purchasing.
Yeah,
I'm wondering about that.
Sorry, continue, Commissioner.
That was my concern about doubling up on things. Because with the volume of people we have in 5F constituents, I don't think there's going to be a small job in printing. It's not going to be a small job.
So I think one of the things that I think a smaller scale printer may be useful is for agendas for in public, the participants who attend meetings in person. The supplementary materials, presentation materials. I think Chair Bishop Henchman may just be printing them at home currently. We can certainly utilize the Wilson building, but I think that was also just an idea of for smaller jobs to support our in-person meetings and facilitate that rather than kind of community-wide outreach. But again, if that's not an expenditure we want to have, we can also take that off too. That was just kind of a carryover from earlier in the year, but you're absolutely right that we do have the Wilson building printer available to us, which the OANC is free to us for now, is what they said in parentheses, for now.
Well, I think there'd be a lot of argument if they tried to make that not free, but yeah, I do print them personally. All this to say, if commissioners get stuff timely, we can go to the Wilson building and print stuff on time. So if stuff's still coming in today, it makes it hard to do that. So. Commissioner Galvan, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, no, I would just say, at least from my perspective, a local printer is a lot more convenient, and it is quite an effort to go down to the Wilson building to print something out for a meeting that you're having in the neighborhood. But I agree it's an important resource. That's just my 2 cents. That's all.
Other discussion, questions, amendments? Commissioner
I have
Pinckney?
a quick question. Commissioner Anderson, would you tell the community what kinds of grants we will be looking forward to approving for the community?
Absolutely. So I think in order to, as a big part of the grants program, I think we need to have a proposal on, now that we have the OANC guidance on what may or may not be covered. I think we can now start the process as to a grants application program. So that discussion hasn't happened. There has been a proposal that's come forth because we were waiting for that guidance to happen, which was sent, I think, about a week ago or something like that. It was earlier this month.
And
but
you know what?
absolutely, as part of the grants process, I think communication and to the public and publicizing this program so that everyone is aware, it would be a big part of it. And I would propose that some of the community outreach budget that's allocated would include information about that grant.
Yeah, I think we should probably, the guidance is on the OANC website. I know things aren't always easy to find, so maybe we should also put it on the 5F website.
Yes.
So that it's, in multiple places. Let me just pull it up because it did give some examples of what's
Yes,
permissible.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, this is meant to be illustrative, not, the only things that can be funded. Installing as the government SharePoint opens. All right, so they gave examples as follows.
This GME is steady going down.
Maybe not. I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately. But things like community events, nonprofits focused on specific things in the community. The main restriction is it can't be anything that duplicates a service already provided by the government. So as much as maybe we want more litter cans, we can't use our money to buy more litter cans because that's what DPW does, for example. But we'll get that on our website so that people can see it there as well.
I think in addition to putting that information on the website, what we can also do too is figure out an application form or at least a process on how we would like to collect the grants and whether there are deadlines. And that's just something I'm putting on the table. It's not a discussion that we've had yet. This is just mostly about kind of the dollar amount on what we're allocating in the budget.
I do have one amendment. It's technical. On the resolve clause, it says 2023 budget. Obviously, it's supposed to read 2024 budget. So I would move to fix that error. Is there a second on that? Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Any objection? All right, without objection. Any other amendments or any other amendments or changes? Not seeing anything. Commissioner Anderson, you want to move the adoption of the budget?
Yes, I move to adopt the resolution regarding the budget.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. I will call the roll. Commissioner Anderson.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman. Aye. Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Dang.
Is it nay?
Yes, nay.
Nay. Okay. All right. By a vote of 6-1, that resolution is adopted. All right. Next item is B. Okay. Approval with condition of NOI 23206 TESD North Capitol Street and Rhode Island Avenue. Commissioner Sani.
Right, yes, certainly. Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier up front, the tax committee did meet and we reviewed, given the information we had available to us, and we came up with this proposal to basically prevent left turns on the eastbound portion of Rhode Island Avenue onto North Capitol, that being the act of basically crossing a lane of traffic, and it's kind of being a very busy road. DDOT has observed a lot of, I think we've all seen crashes there. It's been marked as a very dangerous intersection by many neighbors. So VDOT is proposing eliminating that turn to kind of reduce the traffic contention and to make it safer for pedestrians on that already narrow, hard to navigate sidewalk. As part of this, to accommodate traffic that wants to go northbound onto North Capitol, they are proposing that traffic that wants to make that left be directed down the unit block of T Northwest to make a left onto North Capitol and proceed north that way. Obviously, Rhode Island Avenue is a big road, and so busy road, and so we, in addition to, we obviously see the pedestrian and like crash reduction benefits there, but we are concerned. We did have some concerns about like giving a rubber stamp approval to VDOT here, so we attached some conditions to our recommendation to them, specifically ensuring that the left turns don't continue as illegal left turns. So adding some potential traffic enforcement options there. One concern we had was around the potential for traffic to be routed down B Street because of overshoots. VDOT appeared to be confident that that would not happen. I am a little more skeptical, and the committee in general. So one of the huge conditions was for them to ensure that, like, basically say, look, you need to recognize that B Street is at risk and that you are taking measures to prevent that from being an issue. And then thirdly, we wanted to ensure that any vehicles that we expect to be traveling can make that left onto North Capitol without potentially impacting quite literally people parked on North Capitol. And then on top of that, we did hear from members of the community around the fact that they use T Street to cycle to schools in 5F because it is calmer and you want to put a cyclist on Rhode Island Avenue. As someone who's done that before, it's not fun. And so one of the concerns was around the addition of traffic there and what that means for those who are getting on a currently wide, generally safe neighborhood street of T Street Northwest, getting them protected and or just accounted for within VDOT's reorganization of this. So I took the TAPS committee feedback and I basically promoted it to resolution status as kind of the first draft, or basically a framework upon which the commission would go.
Thank you, Commissioner Sani. We'll open up for questions, discussion, or amendments. And I'll start with one question. This is right on the line with ANC 5E.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if they've taken any action on it? And if so, how harmonized what we would do is with what they may have done?
It's not in total. There's some disagreement. They want to turn it into I believe, I was talking to one of the commissioners, I believe they're pushing for it being a hardened left, so basically having a discrete left turn light at that intersection. Our concern was around stacking, because that's very, like, you only have about length for 2 cars at that magic little square in the middle, and so we are concerned that it would just add congestion to that grid. And so that was one of the concerns we had with that. So most of the other concerns were kind of aligned around just like, will people actually obey the no left turn signal or signage around that? And so we had issues with that as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other commissioners?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
They are in line to do a cover for North Capitol. Had you read those reports, and did you see if any changes to Rhode Island and North Capitol was on the plans, in the plans rather?
Yeah, so through communications with DDOT, we determined that this is them looking at this as a short-term solution and then looking at the larger North Capitol project as a medium to long-term solution. So their goal is to try and reduce the existing things. This very traffic rearrangement may not exist once that North Capitol study comes to fruition. But that would be a larger, even touching roads like Lincoln Street in 5F. So the goal with them right now is to try and do a more targeted, narrower approach that doesn't necessarily try and interfere or otherwise crib from that larger North Capitol corridor study.
But wouldn't that take more traffic with this, would you say, take a T Street to get back onto North Capitol? Wouldn't that put more traffic into the community?
They forecasted in their NOI, they said, I believe the forecasted amount of traffic is
Wrong, I'm guessing, is.
oh, I think they said it was something like 100 cars an hour, which basically amounts to a little over 2 cars, or around 2 cars a minute.
A lot of cars.
Yeah. So and that's part of the challenge, and this is what I'm sure 5E has great weight on this, and this is T Street Northwest, so it is within their borders. So I was also mindful of the fact that they have their own perspectives, and their great weight will be considered as well by DDOT in this response. Insofar as what touches 5F, obviously with a shared border of North Capitol, as well as the V Street concerns that we called out as conditional on this one.
So I don't think anybody else wants to speak on it. I'm really concerned about T Street, and I get that it's in 5E, but I'm assuming they're really concerned about T Street too, because DDOT's taking this approach of, we're going to fix this intersection, but it's creating these.
Exactly.
They're shifting the problem to like all of the surrounding intersections, and I'm not a traffic engineer, but like to me it's kind of astonishing that they're like, well, we're going to dump everything on T Street, and then, well, what are you doing on T Street? And it's like, oh, nothing. So I do see in the resolution here in number 2, you say, DDOT, you better mitigate this preemptively. I'm almost wondering whether we want to be stronger here. So we have it as an approval with condition. So I don't want to jump in at the last minute here after the committee's already looked at it, although the committee did recognize this as something that needed to be addressed. So I don't know whether there's anything in particular we can specify there, but we're basically everybody moving from Rhode Island to North Capitol will now be going down T Street and
Sorry, northbound.
And like that, I don't know whether 100 cars an hour is, I think that's a lower bound probably. But.
So do I.
It is.
Yeah, Commissioner Pinckney.
That is a lower number.
Yeah.
Because
a way low number.
I use T Street to cut across.
Oh, so you're doing this already?
Yeah.
I can go right to Lincoln Road.
Is that just like, have they built up T Street, or is it just kind of a street?
T Street is a street. It has 2 or 3 speed humps on it, and it's one way. If we're talking about the same T Street, it is one way.
Yep.
And then we have people cutting through U Street also to get to Lincoln Road on the northeast side, not on northwest.
Okay. DDOT also in their NOI, they would call out that navigation apps are already sending people down T Street instead of Rhode Island. So that was additional context for us, but just to color this discussion a little more.
Yeah.
So to kind of go back to what you were saying, Commissioner Henchman, and taking into account everything said, what the committee provided was feedback based on like our analysis and calling out, T Street is something that we need to be concerned about. It is up to the commission to decide how we receive that feedback. So is our feedback here
Is
that
T Northeast or T Northwest?
T Northwest. So unit block of T Northwest, so the one immediately to the west of North Capitol.
It's at, well, where First, Rhode Island, and T Street meet.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the right street. Okay.
Was adding a turning signal an option?
That is what, I believe, I haven't seen the final resolution, but I believe that is what 5E asked for this. Our concern was the fact that people aren't going to stop at the right place for that turn signal, and they're going to block the entire intersection because you can fit maybe one car length in that, or two car lengths in that left turn onto northbound North Cap from Rhode Island. And so our concern was that folks would just continue stacking up, and then North Capitol would be obstructed with people trying to do that.
They doing that now. They are doing that now without the light.
Well, if 5E's got some conditions and we'll add some conditions, I mean,
Yeah.
DDOT's got to deal with all the conditions.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't require both of our votes, any one commission.
And if we'd like to say also investigate adding a left turn light here, they're the traffic engineers. They're supposed to, I guess, know best here. I'm fine adding that as another condition, investigation.
Give language.
So language would be rule or investigate and
DDOT investigate.
DDOT investigate and potentially implement alternate plan of adding a hardened left turn signal for eastbound traffic turning left onto northbound North Capitol instead of rerouting down T Street Northwest. Yeah, first.
Mr. Secretary, did you get that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm typing it, but I don't think I got it correctly. Can you say it again?
DDOT investigate and possibly implement an alternative plan of eastbound traffic on Rhode Island Avenue, making of a hardened left turn signal for eastbound traffic, making a left on to northbound North Capitol Street instead of the proposal of routing it down first and then T Northwest.
Got it. Got it.
All right. Commissioner Sani has moved to add that as an amendment to the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Williams. Is there objection to that amendment? Without objection. Further amendments, changes, discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams.
The third resolve clause where we're spanking them for not responding to an email, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so obviously DDOT cites a lot of numbers, and we want to know about these numbers. As in we heard Commissioner Pickney rightly calling out the 100 cars seems awfully low.
Seems low.
Yeah, so we put in a request to the DDOT point of contact for this resolution for the supporting data, so we could interrogate it ourselves. We are fortunate enough on the NC5F TAPS committee to have people with backgrounds in traffic engineering and urban planning, and so this data is useful to them. They know how to read it and parse it. I submitted that request on the 11th of October. I still not received a response from DDOT, and this is the same email address to which we're supposed to be sending our resolutions of support and or opposition. So we wanted to call out in a way that DDOT is encouraged, they're kind of forced to respond to us about why they chose to ignore that email.
Gotcha.
And that was part of the reason for some of these additional preconditions, because we wanted to make sure that we were bringing forth concerns that we would have potentially eliminated with that data.
Well, hopefully they're now aware that we need this data. I might, if we want to put some teeth behind that, why don't we make it part of our great weight resolution here? So rather than, hey, do this next time, why don't we ask them to, hey, do it this time? So I might suggest striking a lot of words here to just say ANC 5F requests DDOT provide supporting data for the T Street vehicle estimate.
I would support that amendment.
I will move that amendment. Commissioner Sani seconds. Any objection to that change? All right, without objection. Anything further on this? All right, no further discussion. We'll go to a vote. This is resolution conditionally supporting DDOT NOI 23206 TSD as amended. Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman. Aye. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
7 yes, 0 no, passes. Thank you, Commissioner Sani, and thank you to the members of the Transportation and Public Space Committee. Good job. All right, next up, I'm going in the right order here. Resolution endorsing litter can installations. This is E in the book. And this is me. Commissioner Anderson, are you able to chair, since I'm the sponsor of this and shouldn't oversee it, or do you want to pass it off to Commissioner Hurst? I know you're traveling right now.
Commissioner Hurst, if you're able to, since you're in the room, I think that might be easier.
All right, as acting chair, what discussion would we like to bring for this resolution? We'll recognize Commissioner Bishop Henchman as the sponsor of the resolution.
All right, thank you, everybody. Let's time myself. So this resolution will give great weight behind a couple more litter can requests. You all know this, but maybe not everybody knows this. In 2021 and 2022, litter cans started disappearing throughout the neighborhood. DPW is sorry for that, and is kind of new leadership and a new direction to address that. There was actually a council hearing, council committee hearing on this last week, including one of the bills that's discussed here in the whereas clauses, I think also in the resolve, so we would support it. So this bill would require ANC notice on litter can additions or removals. DPW, to their credit, say that this is in line with their current policy. So I'm hopeful kind of everybody's rolling in the same direction here of supporting this new policy. It's still a little unclear as to like how you get a litter can installation. I'm told if it's near a bus stop, that's important. If it's on an arterial, that's important. If it's near a commercial business or a school, that's important. So I've gone through everything that was in 3-on-1 in the neighborhoods that, for at least for the last 30 days, that fit those criteria. And I'm certainly willing to, I certainly would support any amendments to add additional requests that may be on the list. I heard on the grapevine that DPW just got a shipment in of 200 new litter cans. Mr. Anthony's putting his head in his hands, so it must be true. So I'm hopeful that us getting right in the queue right after this meeting will rocket us to the top. The last, this is the second one of these we did this year. The first one we asked for 8 and got 4. So right now we're batting 500. So we'll see how we do with it. And I'd be remiss not to thank all the community volunteers in Eckington Parks and Arts, the Eckington Civic Association, the clean team who spend their time, their precious volunteer time helping clean up the neighborhood. Thank you to all the neighbors who've put out a personal trash can due to the absence of public litter cans. It's appreciated. I think it's important that we get more litter cans out there, and that does seem to be the sentiment of the majority of the council, and I look forward to working with DPW on this next round of requests. It would endorse that bill, or at least the provision of the bill requiring 30 days notice to ANCs before removals, as well as generally supporting the idea that we should increase public litter cans, particularly where trash is observed, and asking DPW that their criteria be published and objective and clear. With that, I'll open up to questions or yeah.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bishop Henchman, for your leadership on this. I think I've certainly seen a benefit to all the new litter cans that we've seen. I would like to request an amendment to add a couple of additional spaces, as you indicated. And then also to Commissioner Hurst, I've certainly noticed right along the Edgewood Recreation Center on Lincoln Road, there is quite a bit of trash along that entrance right next to the school there as well. So I was wondering if I could get your support for that as well. So I put in a couple 311 requests, and I would like to add these particulars to the agenda. I can read them, but it just says.
You did circulate them. Why don't you just read where they're at?
Yep. One is at between Adams and Bryant Street Northeast on 4th Street Northeast. This is where.
Sorry, Adams or Bryant?
Sorry, it's on 4th Street between Adams Street Northeast and Bryant Street. And this is where, for the last 5 years, there was the construction for the northeast boundary tunnel was there. And when they removed all the equipment, it was pretty bare left there. And now there's lots of trash. So there's a few businesses in that area, a handful, which would be great. And then 2 litter cans, one on Douglas and Lincoln Road, right at the intersection of Inspired Teaching, and also another on actually Lincoln Road along the Edgewood Recreation Center, where there's quite a bit of trash, but not in the Edgewood Recreation.
Edgewood or Harry Thomas?
Edgewood Recreation Center. Yes. So that's really for 3 in total litter cans.
All right, Commissioner Galvan moves to amend the resolution to add those 3, and these were all in your email, and you had the 311 numbers in it.
Correct.
All right,
yes.
so we'll add those.
Yes.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection to adding this? Without objection, other amendments or discussion?
I have a question about that. I have a question.
The acting chair recognizes Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. Mark.
Yes.
I will be speaking with the NEBT. Have you made a request to have them replace the trash receptacles along that corridor? Because they are not finished with the landscape. I know that.
Yes, I believe I did ask them at some point. I know they kept.
You'd probably benefit from Commissioner Williams reminding them.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I know there's one currently on the corner of Rhode Island Avenue and 4th Street.
That's one of the new ones.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not quite next to the bus stop. It's close. But yeah, that would be great if you could ask. They're supposed to install some trees too. While you're at it, you can ask them about that.
Can you forward her, if it was an email, forward it to her so she has that.
Yeah. No, thank you, Commissioner Williams.
No problem. Thank you.
Other comments and questions from commissioners? Any public comment? All right. With that, without any further public comment, the acting chair will call the roll. Commissioner Anderson. Sorry, Commissioner Anderson, are you still on? Are you able to put in a vote?
Hi, I vote aye.
Aye, all right, there we go. Commissioner Bishop-Henson.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst, I vote aye. Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
All right, we have 7 yes and no no's. Resolution passes. And I will pass the gavel chair back to Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Commissioner Hurst. Thank you so much for carrying it smoothly. Much better than Patrick and Henry is doing.
Ooh, that's a low bar then.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
All right, next up, I think is the Ivy City resolution.
Yeah.
So if I'm skipping somebody, please tell me.
I think it was the child, H was the supporting analysis of the child.
And we did that on consent agenda, sorry.
Really? I thought I pulled H.
H is Ivy City.
So,
Oh, it's not on my agenda.
I will,
I apologize. Okay.
I will work with you on,
It is what it is. It's no problem. That's my mistake.
all right. Ivy City's you though, I think, right?
Yes, but I called to pull it off, so.
Oh, okay.
I'll go over it.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Give me 1 second. No, that's my mistake. So
And just if anybody has the paper in front of you, there may be 2 copies of it. It's the first copy. Because there was an original and then a revision. So it'd be the first one. That's the one.
I'll be quick with this. ANC 5D reached out to us. They are out of the Ivy City region, and they have recognized that they're having some real environmental challenges and health problems in that area with a chemical plant that has been operating since the 1930s. They've gotten the Environmental Protection Agency and the District Department of the Energy and Environment involved to try to assist with closing this particular facility. And so they asked us if we would stand in line with them to help support them with a resolution. So Commissioner Sani and I had taken what they put together and essentially stated that we also support their particular efforts for environmental justice. So that's the overall, is to just kind of help provide some additional support to them.
Thank you, Commissioner Galvan. Commissioner Sani, you co-introduced. I don't know if you have anything to add, otherwise we'll go to discussion or questions.
No, we're calling on the city agencies to take action. The plant in question was started in DC before we even had the environmental regulations that you'd have to pass to make that happen. And so we're suggesting measure it. If it's problematic, stop. And so our goal is to stand in solidarity with them.
We'll open up for questions or comments, amendments, discussion. Everybody ready to go to a vote on this?
Yep.
Yes. All right. So this is the resolution supporting closing and removal of National Engineering Products Chemical Facility located in Ivy City, Northeast Washington, D.C. Commissioner Anderson.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman votes aye. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
7 yes, 0 no. Adopted. All right. I think that is the action agenda. Am I missing anything? All right. Next, we'll go to other reports and presentations. We're pleased to be joined, as always, Mr. Anthony from the mayor's office. The floor is yours.
Okay. Let's see here. Good evening, ANC 5F. My name is Anthony Black. I'm your Ward 5 liaison for the mayor's office. Just a couple updates that I would like to give you today. As Commissioner Henchman already touched on, the mayor did present her Act Now legislation yesterday. That's just the Act Now legislation announced to address recent public safety challenges, giving law enforcement more tools to hold criminals accountable and keep neighborhoods safe. The proposed legislation also clarifies and updates several existing policies to better align with the day-to-day realities of safe and effective policing. Just a couple of those talking points. We're supporting safe and effective policing, clarifying the distinction between a serious use of force and incidental contact with the neck. Also ensuring officers can review their body-worn camera footage prior to writing their initial police report in certain circumstances. Also making permanent clarification of vehicular pursuit. And also defining what information will be posted publicly related to officer discipline. Also addressing recent crime trends, as Commissioner Henchman touched on, combating organized retail theft, addressing loitering around open-air drug markets, and making it unlawful to use masks for committing criminal acts. You can also, you can Google Act Now DC to get more information on that as well. Leaf season. Leaf season is approaching. Leaf season will, and the way they've changed the leaf seasoning, DPW has made a change to leaf season. They will do it in 2-week intervals by the letter of the ward. So all 8 wards have A, B, C's, D's. They will do 2-week intervals with all the A's at one time. 2 weeks after that, they'll move on to the B's, C's, D's. Residents will be notified 2 weeks prior that your ward is coming up. And the way they're doing it now, please sweep your leaves to the tree box or the curb. They will not accept leaves in plastic bags, but they will accept them in paper bags. So that is a stipulation that DPW is having. They will also be doing a 2-week follow-up after the fact. So if you did miss your leaf day, that 2-week window, they will be coming 2 weeks after to just make sure everybody who didn't get their leaves out in time are able to get those leaves picked up. You can also put your 311 request in for leaves as well. So if by any chance they didn't get to your neighborhood or get to your street within that window, please feel free to reach out to 311. Someone will definitely get to you and get those leaves up. Also, DC Health Link, health insurance. Open enrollment starts November the 1st. So please, if you know anyone that is in need of health insurance, please let them know that DC Health Link's open enrollment starting November the 1st. Our ward days. I was able to actually spent a lot of time in 5F04 today. But in the last month, I've been able to touch 3 SMDs within 5F. Those SMDs are 5F02. And there were 17 issues noted. The main issues were illegal dumping in the roadway signage. 5F04, there were 32 issues noted. Sidewalk repair was a major issue, and roadway signage was another. 5F06, there were 25 issues noted. Legal dumping was a major issue in 5F06, as well as sidewalk repair. And I would definitely I promise you I will touch all wards, but we have to make sure that we're touching all our SMDs throughout the ward fabric. And that is currently it for me. I'm open to questions and concerns.
All right, we'll start with commissioners and go to members of the public. Any commissioners have any questions for the mayor's office? Commissioner Sani?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Sani, then Commissioner Williams.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Sani?
Go ahead, Commissioner Sani.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. I'll make it quick. So one question about the mayor's proposed crime legislation.
Yes, sir.
What opportunities exist for the community to give feedback before that moves along in the legislative process? Like, is she doing listening sessions? Are there ways for people to reach out and offer opinion?
That, Commissioner, I don't know, but I can definitely I can touch base with leadership tonight and get you a response for that first thing tomorrow.
That'd be appreciated. Another thing I've heard is concerns around like the leaf sweeping calendar. And this is a long-term thing, but is there a way to randomize the letters y'all go through? Because I know folks in the later letters who are like, they're always just getting leaves building up. So if there's a way to like do some years B first instead of A first, et cetera.
I mean, I can definitely flag that to DPW. That's a little out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm not expecting
but I
to
can definitely flag, and I get it. Yeah. I mean, by the time it gets to F, we're looking at end of December.
Yeah.
Maybe January. You know what I mean? Yeah. So no, but I strongly encourage residents to put 311 requests in as well for those leaves before. Just so that they are aware that, I mean, this, and I'll flag it as well, but it's definitely an issue, and I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and the third is like, I very much, as 5F02 commissioner, I appreciate you checking stuff out. Would love a heads up next time so I can show you some things that maybe we've also.
Oh no, absolutely. Directly. So I strongly promote ANC commissioners and residents as well to reach out to us anytime if you just want us to go with you, walk with you, do a walk with you, or you can send me the locations that you want us to put our eyes on. But
Okay.
no, we have to, that's just something that we have to do. We have to get in our wards with or without an ANC commissioner, just for those purposes. Now, like I said, I strongly recommend ANC commissioners just schedule time with us.
Okay.
And we will definitely get out with you and put our eyes on those situations.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Commissioner Williams?
I just want to know, can you send me your availability dates to do a walkthrough?
I sure will. I sure
And
will.
new pair of tennis shoes. We can do some walking.
And we're gonna walk the soul off.
Not yet. I just got them. Thank you.
Not a problem, Commissioner.
Commissioner Hurst.
Last time I did hit you up to use any mayoral influence that you could to push for the DC public schools.
Yes, and I did flag. I did
Okay.
flag those. I did flag those concerns to leadership.
Okay, thank
Now,
you.
I will do a follow up with them tomorrow just to see where they are with that.
Thank you.
But I definitely flagged up, and I'll ask, and hopefully I'll get a response. You know what I mean? But I can't guarantee you I'll get a response. But
Okay.
it was flagged. It definitely was flagged to leadership, Commissioner. So I'll do a follow up tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Pinckney?
Yes, hi, how are
Yes,
you?
ma'am. How are you?
Good. Emory Shelter, we talked about it,
Okay.
I think twice.
Yes.
But Sam and I came up with a plan.
Okay.
Somewhat of a plan. And the plan is to integrate the guys that stay at the shelter
Okay.
into the community.
Okay.
We have some things that we can do to have them feel a part of the community.
Okay.
So a big part of that is what you can do for us through the mayor's office.
Okay.
But it should work out well.
No, Commissioner, if I'll be in the office first thing tomorrow. I'll be
Okay.
here till 5 o'clock. So
Okay,
please feel free to give me a call tomorrow. We can definitely do some follow-ups.
okay.
All right.
Any other commissioners? I will go to members of the public. Any questions of the mayor's office? Start within the room and then we'll do online. If you're online, hit the raise hand feature and we'll call on you. Yes, sir.
One comment about the
Can you give your
shelter.
name
My name is
for-
Brian Brown. One comment about the shelter is the residents are staying there when they want to use services such as the rec center. Since they don't have proof of residency, they have no access. That needs to be addressed.
Okay.
They can't use the pool, they can't do anything,
That's part of.
depending
what we're working on.
upon who's at the desk.
Mhm. Yeah, to pull them into, yeah. And to help clean up.
Yeah, because they're active and they want to make a difference, but when they're excluded, it turns them against us.
That's our exact point.
Okay.
Question concerning the residents. Oh, who are the residents that's in the Ember shelter?
Well-
Are they returning to the community or the immigrants that are being housed?
What is
And
happening
ma'am, if
at the
could you
shelter?
give your name just for the record?
Maddie Johnson. And
I
I live in
thought that was you.
area.
Look, I can't even see with my glasses on. Prior to the shelter being renovated, it was a
How much?
work bed program.
And it was
Where
a women's shelter at one point.
But that was way back. That was way
That's
back.
not point.
But recently, the men had to have a job. They could come in the shelter after work, and sleep or whatever they were going to do, but they had to be out at 6 a.m. The mayor turned it into a 24-hour shelter. So guys from all over the city can come to that one shelter. There are 130 beds there. And it has become somewhat of a problem because we aren't used to men walking all around the community, especially not 130. And they can only get in at a certain time. So they come and they sit wherever they can to wait until they can sign in for a bed for the night. So we are working on well, I may as well say this now since we're talking about the shelter.
Yeah.
We are working on getting them a space at the back of the shelter with benches so that they can sit and smoke and do whatever they want to do at the back of the shelter, rather than have them sitting at the front of the shelter and sitting on the side of the recreation center with a sofa and a table. So we're just trying to clean up the look.
So that's not, the shelter is not connected to any type of specific program.
No, it's
I mean, they don't
not.
have to go to
It's a
any
shelter.
program.
No,
It's
a
transit the shelter.
full-blown shelter.
Okay, on the meter from going to be a problem to coming a problem to hitting 100, I think you passed going to be a problem.
Well, that's why we're working on it, and that's why
Yeah.
we're calling the mayor's office in. Because we do have a plan. And I strongly feel that if you integrate people into what you're doing, they will feel somewhat accepted in the community.
Yeah. So they have to go out and find their own services, like employment, housing. That's not part of the shelter. The shelter is just housing.
Well, the shelter can send them to places where they can get all of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Let me see if there's anybody else who hasn't asked a question first.
We have Sam online.
All right. Well, he's next. So, all right. So go ahead.
One quick comment to Brian again. About 30% of the shelter residents are actually immigrants that are from the catch and release program, shipped up here, 30 to 40%. Most of them are Spanish speaking.
Yeah, but we don't have 30 or 40% at that shelter.
No, there are.
No,
I recruit from them routinely.
I've been in the shelter for meetings, not 30 or 40%.
Okay, it's been a fairly high number in the summertime.
But it's moving up.
Yes.
All right. I think we'll end it there. Thank you, Mr. Anthony, for joining us. Next, we'll move to Sam Bonner, who's from Ward 5 Council Member Zachary Parker's office for 10 minutes. We're finding you online, Sam, sorry.
All right. Hey, everyone. First, I want to just say one thing to what Commissioner Pinckney just said, which is I do think they have on-site, the shelter has on-site employment services, or at least someone to help them find employment. That was the one thing that the shelter director, I think, said.
Okay, I must have missed that. But,
yeah, but I think otherwise they're like connecting them to other services and other providers.
yes, can I quickly say something, Sam?
Yeah,
That-
of course.
Yes, that we are working with the shelter director, Mr. Raymond Faxio, and he's really good at what he does.
Is the shelter operated by DC government, or is it contracted to a vendor who's operating like summer? Or is it operated by DC government?
It is operated by the Coalition for the Homeless.
The Coalition for the Homeless. It's pathway to housing and.
Yeah, all of that. Okay, Sam, we're done.
All good. So I have slides if I can share. I did want to share briefly before that about a few things that I'm working on that aren't sort of part of the broader Ward 5 Council update slides. One is the Edgewood Trust, which is still a couple of different ideas that we're trying to kind of in early stages weave together, getting different stakeholders with different influences and expertise across Edgewood to start to kind of collaborate more actively and find resources, especially economic opportunities for our youth. And I think the ideal thing would be in the long term, both building trust, having a space where kids can come and know that there's a reliable source of both services and economic opportunities and jobs, but also to have like a trust, right, where that invests in and actually, supports both materially and kind of emotionally the youth of Edgewood. So that's a very early conversation, but want to make sure that's on people's radar. And if people are interested, feel free to reach out to me. Oh, now I see myself twice. The other thing that we're just working on is the North Capital Trust Builders, which is about creating a more permanent consistent presence on, especially the strip of North Cap between New York and Florida, but maybe a little bit beyond there as well.
Sam, if you're we can't see them, FYI.
Oh, I'm not doing
Okay.
slides yet. I'm about to get to it.
Okay, sorry.
Unfortunately, we saw the desperate need for that, although it was a little bit away from North Capitol from a tragic incident yesterday in 5E, where someone who has a known history of mental health issues and crimes that he were committing, and he kept falling through the cracks and now has traumatized a variety of young toddlers at the Petite Scholars daycare. So we see the desperate need for a new approach for not just for something that where just more penalties and more crimes isn't necessarily going to actually address the issues on the ground and change the conditions on the ground. So we really want to build and activate the massive amount of resources we have and connect them to be more in better communication and coordination to make sure that that outreach is effective and consistent, reliable, and builds trust. So we can get folks into services and housing. So those are two big projects in the area. I know also recently we did an Edgewood safety walk with the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety Chair, Councilmember Pinto. And, we've heard loud and clear we want more coordination. That's really what I've been kind of hitting over and over again, and that's not necessarily something we need new legislation. We just need organizing. So I've been putting on my organizer hat, trying to do those things, the two projects that I listed before this. But I think similar approaches can be done for Alethea Tanner Park and the WUNRF on Quincy Lane and other areas of 5F. So, I just want to encourage people to be thinking on that kind of organizing coordination step, because I really do believe that is what's missing right now in the safety conversation. We have a lot of programs, we're spending a lot, there's a lot of crimes. It's just not actually working. The pieces aren't working together. There's one more piece there. Oh, right. So she was asking for people to testify at the hearings upcoming. She has a variety of bills. I think she's going to schedule a hearing for the mayor's new bill. So we, and I will get into that in the slides now, but we are encouraging folks to go look to dccouncil.gov and go on the hearings tab in the hearing management system. Thanks to the council member, it's all in one place now. So it's really easy to see the updates and to see what upcoming hearings are. And if there's a bill that we've put out or someone else has put out that you want to have a hearing and is not yet scheduled, you can call that committee or that council member to ask them to schedule a hearing. And that's really helpful in terms of the work I do. So to get into the slides here, there's this sort of this is our staff. Highly encourage people to go to ward5.us/news to see the most recent newsletter, and you can click on the top left to subscribe or see past issues. The big news on public safety is tomorrow from 3 to 5. I think the Commissioner Schpetzman already shared is going to be a Zoom meeting to hear from all of the different, there's 3 different districts, police districts. There's 2 different completely separate networks of violence interrupters. There's also the deputy mayor who's supposed to be coordinating a lot of these different groups. So they're all going to be on giving their updates. And we're hoping that this becomes a more regular conversation around how do we work together? How do we coordinate to make sure that these pieces are fitting? And this is all just the local stuff. There's also a whole bunch of federal agencies that are in charge of supervised release, that are in charge of adult prosecution and the courts. So that's a whole other conversation. We don't quite have oversight over them, and those are another reason why we need statehood. But you can go to ward5.us/monthly call to sign up for the Zoom. The mayor, as was talked about a couple times this meeting, has introduced her Addressing Crime Trends Now bill. The stated intention is to strengthen accountability for certain crimes. The mayor's not yet transmitted the bill, so we haven't actually had a chance to look at it or review it or its full scope and impact. Like I said, the council member Pinto of the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety has said she will hold a hearing soon. and that this is a very quick turnaround for legislation. And I think in there we are saying, we are also hint, we had a legislation for the child tax credit introduced in March that has still not been scheduled for a hearing. So we do encourage you to email, call the Committee on Business and Economic Development, I believe, who would hold a hearing for that bill, and which would address child poverty, which is, I think, related as well to the crime issue. So definitely encourage folks to do that, and that is Councilmember McDuffie's committee. To legislation, I think this one I've already talked about in this. So again, sometimes I get confused with different meetings, but this is just if it were to be passed, the Grandparent and Caregiver Subsidy Eligibility Act would give financial support for many of the grandparents and family members and family friends in the community who are stepping up to care for a child when their parent is either unable or not around. And so we want to honor that care work. And this is a bill that would help do that. And a hearing is scheduled for November 2nd at the Committee on Facilities and Family Services. So please sign up to testify there. Again, at the dccouncil.gov and go to the hearings management system. We also last week introduced the School Improvement Act with Chairman Mandelson to have a kind of across the board, both charter and DCPS school improvement sort of resource office, which would go after or go towards the bottom 5% performing schools across types of schools. And a hearing is also going to be held on the Committee of the Whole, which is Chairman Mandelson's committee, on November 20th. Another way to advocate for the child tax credit or other kinds of tax equity, tax justice, or other types of tax issues, Tax Revision Commission, they've been meeting for quite some time now. They're holding another public town hall on November 6th from 6 to 7 at MLK Library in room 401A to help shape the future of the city's tax code. It makes a difference when you show up for these types of things. So please consider coming there. And I think I've shared this before. Neither of these are in our community, but given that Bloomingdale, which is probably the closest one to farmers market to us, closes in December, what the new Union Market one is not too far away, and it is supposed to be year round. So encourage folks to get fresh veggies, and encourage people to sign up for, if you are low income, to sign up for SNAP EBT, which at all farmers markets is actually doubled. Whatever, if you spend your SNAP money at farmers market, it is doubled what it is worth. So it's a great deal. And if you need help signing up, or if you know seniors who need help signing up, there's a nonprofit called DC Hunger Solutions that helps folks sign up for SNAP. So I will stop sharing at this point, and I will take any questions and put my info in the chat.
Thank you, Sam. Any questions from commissioners? Not looking like it. Any questions from members of the public? Start within the room. Anyone online? Use the raise hand feature to ask a question, Mr. Bauer.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about community garden?
Did you hear the question, Sam?
How do you feel?
I think I know who this is. You're talking about a Harry Thomas?
Yes.
See, somebody else said yes.
She was at an event I was at on Saturday and brought this up 3 times. So yeah, I have not had a chance to figure out, and I'd love also if any commissioners know this, there are garden plots at Harry Thomas Rec Center, or at the park near the rec center. Does anyone know who runs those? I don't think they are DPR run, but I'm not positive on that.
I thought they were DPR.
Yeah.
As far back as I can remember, it's been DPR.
Sam, I think it is DPR, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so then I know the person who runs the urban gardening thing. I think he's been more focused on the veggie giveaways. So I'm curious which happened at Edgewood Rec Center. If you don't know, another awesome opportunity, 11 a.m. on Tuesdays until December. I guess another food resource for folks while we're at it is Arcadia Market, which also is kind of a mobile pop-up kind of farmers market, but it's just one group, and they have a truck, and it's I believe on Fridays from like 3 to 5 at the Edgewood Triangle Park. There's two Edgewood Triangle Parks, the one that's on Edgewood and Evarts and Fifth or Sixth. So right across from the 601 Edgewood Commons building. So it's another chance for two chances besides farmers markets that you can get either free veggies or SNAP doubled veggies. In terms of that plot, I will ask Josh Singer. Do you have my contact?
I wanted to say I've moved on since you educated me, Sarah, about what's going on. I'm really interested in how many community gardens is there in Ward 5? Like, what's the condition of them and who is responsible for them? Who are they community? So I just turned this into my own research project.
Well, I would love to support you on that. I know a bunch of them, especially just in 5F. Like a lot of things in this city, the answer is all of the above. And, every single one of them, I know one is run by DPR, one is run by volunteers via DPR, one is just a private nonprofit, one is a semi-private nonprofit where they kind of do a bunch of open office hours where people can come and support and become members. And that's just in Edgewood and Edgewood and Eckington, essentially. So there's a lot of them, and I don't know if I have a kind of clean, because some people, they make little offshoot gardens that aren't official urban gardens, but they are kind of ad hoc. So I think that there's all of the above, and would be happy to help you with that with your research project.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sam. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
thank you. Next is zoning case number 2324 is a discussion presentation, Eckington Muse. Commissioner Pinckney, you added this. I don't know if you want to say something.
I did.
Commissioner Pinckney.
As soon as I find it in my pictures. Okay. In 2013, Mr. Brian Brown came to the community expressing to us that he would like to build apartments in our alley. If you haven't been on R Street, well, in back of on the even side, in back of the homes, there's a huge plot of land that is as long as the block. So the community was very, very much against having apartments out there. So we've gone back and forth about whether or not it should be apartments, but actually, up until recently, apartments could not be built out there. It could be homes, but not apartments. So we had an April meeting, and the community agreed to single-family homes, which was hard for a lot of people to do. You don't expect folks to be building in your alley, but we said, okay, single-family homes. And each home would have a basement unit already approved by the city. We said okay to that too, good to go. So what I'm saying to you is that anyone that owns property has the right to build on it in the city. And the mayor gives preference to alley lots. So I want you to know that the immediate community agrees with single family homes in the alley, not apartments. And that's it.
Hi, my name is Brian Brown, and Sylvia is absolutely correct. 8 years ago, I presented it. Everybody came back and said, no, we want townhouses. I put it on the back burner. We came back, sat with Office of Planning, said, what can we do here? What we have right now are 3 lots in the back alley, and we also have 2 houses at front First Street. So if you're trying to visualize where it is, the north side of the alley fronts butts Emory Shelter and Choice School on First Street. The south side abuts the back alley of the R Street houses. The other portion faces First Street, and the other portion is Lincoln Road. But the alley there is a little over a half acre. With three lots there, to be able to, we have a potentially turning it into 11 lots in the alley. The problem is, to do 11 lots, we have to file for zoning, because you cannot do that as a matter of right. If we do file for zoning for 11 lots, they also require us under traditional zoning to face all the houses into the alley, which means every resident walks in and out of the alley to go to their houses. We came up with an alternative proposal to the Office of Planning, which they seem to have loved. At least I've gotten no negative feedback so far. And what that was to face the houses towards Emory Shelter. We have on First Street 2 townhouses that are part of.
I'm sorry, toward the school.
Toward the school,
Emory School,
Emory
not
School.
the shelter.
Emory School. And on First Street, we have 2 houses that are existing. So what you have is 11 lots in the alley, plus 2 in facing First Street, which gets you to 13. Of those houses that face First Street, they would actually be side-by-side townhouses versus one above another. So that was how we proposed them to the city. And I'll come back to why we did that. On First Street, there, next to one of the houses we own, there is a 15-foot wide side yard, which we use as an entrance to the townhouses. So you come off First Street, you enter onto the into the townhouses between Emory School and the new townhouses. On the portion that faces the alley, we actually would put garages on that side, because if we did houses facing the alley, if we did houses facing the alley versus facing the school, there's no option for parking. If we face the school, we have ability to have a garage under each house at alley level. That garage is approximately 17 feet wide, which allows us to have a little over 1.5 cars wide, but it's actually deep enough to go 2 cars deep. So you end up with 2-car parking under each of those townhouses. Now, when we did that initial alley design, one of the things we realized is there's a dead-end alley between the 2 townhouses and the lot that is the dumping ground for stolen cars, for smoking crack, and everything else. So as part of our petition, we've asked the city to allow us to close it. We've already reached out to 12 of the 13 agencies. The only one we're waiting on is Verizon. All of them have said yes, that they would support that. And the purpose of doing that would allow us to do side-by-side townhouses where that alley's closed. And the reason we're doing those side-by-side is with this, you essentially have total of 26 units. Remember, each townhouse has a living quarters above and a basement unit. So if you have 13 times 2 is 26. But by doing the side-by-side, since all of these are for sale, the purpose of the side-by-side allows them to sell individually to have more affordable. DC requires 15% affordability. We'll be at 16.8% by doing the side-by-sides. So I can offer one, instead of having 2 townhouses that are affordable, I can offer 4.
Okay, so to be perfectly clear on this, there will be townhouses or single-family homes, because there's a difference.
There, according to Matt LeGrand, who's the head of zoning, that's a nuanced difference. If you have a townhouse where you have a basement rental unit, but you do not have a certificate of occupancy, that's a single family. If you get a certificate of occupancy to rent your basement, that is a 2-family flat.
Yeah, I know.
But that's essentially what we're building. Is
2-family flat.
Or a single family with depending upon whether the owners want to get a CFO on the basement or not, they have that option. But it'll be really which one they want.
Okay.
So they could rent it, or they could use it as an in-law suite. That is accurate.
Okay, but the 2-family flat will be sold as one home.
One townhouse, yes.
Okay, one townhouse.
Because I don't like condos. I've never have liked condos. I did 2 condo
Just
projects. I
making
hate
sure.
them because it makes simple walls make it simple. Now, all these are geared for sale. We have 4 of them geared for affordability. One of the things we have asked of department, the zoning to consider, we're going to try to sell these, but one of the things we've heard from every developer that has affordable units, they have a problem selling them because it takes a long time for people to qualify under the DC process. They have a very specific process. So we've indicated to them if for some reason they do not sell within the first 6 months or year, we've asked for permission to rent them while still having them on the market to sell.
Okay, so you will be renting homes.
Yes, but only if we cannot sell them. I do not want to have a rent. There are four affordable units. Those,
What for affordable units? I had missed something.
there are 11 townhouses that have an upper and lower,
Mm-hmm.
and there are 2 townhouses that have side by sides.
Okay,
The 2 townhouses side by sides, we've asked the city to allow us to split those into single family without rentals. Because if you try to sell a single family with a rental down below as affordable, it's much more difficult for them to qualify to purchase it. So we've been working with people regarding the financing and figuring out how we can optimize the ease of people buying affordable units.
When you say affordable, give me a number. The word affordable goes around a lot.
To be honest, I don't
So
know.
what's your number for affordable?
That's a very good question. I honestly don't know because I was gonna go to DC Housing and say, what is the number based on what the requirements? I've never done affordable housing like this before, so.
When I say number, not minute, you know, how much money
I
are we talking?
honestly don't know
Okay.
because the problem is I've never built affordable before. I've always bought properties, renovated them, either sold them for profit or I bought them and used them as rentals. So, or I've done 2 condo projects in my life. First one I did very well, and the second one I did okay on, but I decided that wasn't my cup of tea. So that's to answer your question. I do not want condos.
okay, can I add to this?
And I do not want apartments.
According to the housing listing that comes out from Scott Roberts, say every couple of weeks or so, houses are moving in Eckington. They aren't really staying around a long time. They've always moved over the last 8 to 10 years. Houses
You're
go.
absolutely correct.
And if it's new, it will go.
Yes, but the exception to that, and I don't know if as the mayor's representative, you can confirm this, but when you have affordable units, whether they're condos for sale, apartments for sale, or townhouses for sale, it's much harder for the people to qualify for them because they have to meet very specific requirements for not too much income, but enough income to get a mortgage, but low enough to qualify. There's a window, and it's very difficult to get. And we have 4 of those units that we're offering. So those 4, we've told the city we want to sell them, because I don't want to manage them. But if we are not able to sell them, we've asked permission to manage them while they're for sale and rent them during that time. And I'll be very transparent about that, because I prefer not though, so.
Okay, so if you're building 2-unit flats, you must have some idea how much you will sell them for.
They will probably go out at about 1.3 or 1.4 for the 2-family flats.
Million.
Yes.
What can you afford?
No, but that's why we're doing some single family, because the single family will require that to be much lower. There's a set formula the city determines how to lower the price to make it affordable. I don't know what that is because I've never done it. That's what I've hired professionals to figure it out for me. I don't know.
I'll find out.
Yeah, and if you find out, share it with me. If I find out, I'll share it with you, because I don't know what that number is. And I've asked people, and everybody's like, well, once you do this, they'll tell you what that formula is, and they'll tell you how to do it. And the person that wants to buy it has to go through a DC program, be approved by DC, then get qualified for the mortgage. And and I've never done it before, so I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Okay, well, there's a misconception of what you're doing here. Because if you're doing houses like regular developers, you get the land, get the approvals, build a home, and you sell it. Yes, you need an approval, but the approval usually comes from your mortgage company. They tell you how much of a mortgage you can afford.
Correct, but on affordable units, the city tells you you can't make more than a certain amount. But if you don't make enough, you can't qualify for mortgage. It's a catch-22. And what that number is or how that works, I honestly don't know.
So you're having 26 units and 4 of them going to be affordable?
There'll be a total of 11 townhouses with rental units below, and 4 single family that have no rental units that are affordable. That was the goal, because we wanted to try to do something that made sense for that area. And some of the benefits that we've actually are proposing to this neighborhood as part of this is to put cameras in the alley, because we're gonna have a homeowners association to maintain the front yards. So the homeowners association will be required to provide cameras that'll be accessible by DPWs. You have cameras there for both DPW as well as the police in that alley, so that R Street alley, so we won't have the legal dumping like we've had in the past. It'll also close the one alley where all the cars get abandoned and where the people tend to do drugs.
Can I say one thing? There are 3 homes on that alley. One of them is not selling to you. So you can't close the whole.
We are not closing the whole alley. We're closing the alley just behind our houses. We've already met with the owner of the last unit, 1206 or 1706. He is also on board with our project. He's supportive of it. I've never heard an objection from him. I've been very direct with him. I said, do you have any issues with it? He said, no. The only question is, when were you starting?
Is this a senior citizen?
No, he is a probably 40 years old and owns his own company. He's an entrepreneur. No, the 2 people were senior citizens. I gave them above market prices when I purchased their houses.
So you purchased?
Yeah, they were both of them retired and moved to North Carolina, and one of them actually had a reverse mortgage, and her goal was to come out with $100,000 at closing. We had a contract to purchase for $500,000. We found out she was only going to get $55,000, so I moved my contract to $550,000. But I gave her my word that she net at least $100,000. Because for me, it's about doing the right thing. And that said, I've had a lot of offers on this land from larger developers that want to build affordable housing there because they're saying they can push it through. I've been in the neighborhood since 1988. I've lived in Shaw most of the time. The rest of the time in Detroit. I've had this property for over 20 some years, and I have adjacent rental properties there that I'll still own after this is developed. My goal was to do something that was right for the community. The first time I thought of the apartment building, they voted loud and clear that wasn't it, and I heard it. So I came back and I came up with this. Now, the benefits, in addition to the cameras in the alley, several people were worried about people speeding down the alley all the time, racing both directions. We've asked our traffic analysts to reach out to DDOT to see what kind of calming options they can have that won't disrupt trash, but also slow people down.
Very, very, very little. They don't do
they have very limited,
alleys.
yes. They have some, but very limited. But we're offering that as as one of our propositions. The increasing the offering from 15% of affordable to 16.8 was one of our offerings for value to the community. And then one of the other things people had asked about was more lighting in the alley. So above each of the garages on those new houses, we're going to have motion detected wide spectrum lights so that if people go down the alley, it lights up where they're at. You can see what's going on in the alley.
Okay. My work with the PUD, and I've only worked with one because they are far and few between. The community tells you what they would like.
Absolutely, and these were requests I heard from neighbors on that block when I met with them one-on-one. And if there's other things people want, we'll look at adding them. I'm open to that. So
we'll let you know. But anyway, so what about trash?
Trash for each of the houses will be pulled into their garage, pulled out as single trash cans. We've requested that as part of the city, so there'll be no central collection point. But by being housed in the garage, you won't have the trash cans sitting in the alley like we have a problem going on in the block already. It should also cut down on the illegal dumping. Developing the slot should also significantly lower the amount of rats we have in that neighborhood because that area is overrun by rats.
Okay, has Councilmember Parker agreed to work with you on closing 2/3 of that alley because he would have to agree to that?
You're absolutely right. I was going to reach out to his office, but my first step was to see if the utility companies would actually support it. Because the process, as I was told by the Office of Planning, if you file a request to close an alley, and there's 14 agencies that have to weigh in, Historic, Fire Department, Pepco, Verizon, Washington Gas, National Capital Planning, it's 14 of them total. All of them have come back and said, yes, they supported the one that puts up the streetlights, the DPW, but said they want us to pay to move the streetlight from north on the alley farther south once we're done.
DDOT works with streetlights.
Yeah. So they've requested that'll be paid by us, not paid by the city. We have not heard back from Verizon, but that's not uncommon because they're very difficult to reach, so we don't have them yet. The next couple steps is coming before the ANC as part of this presentation, also asking for that support in an alley closing, and simultaneously reaching out to Ward 5 council member. But I want to see if it was even feasible before I came to everyone and say, can we do this? If Washington Gas or Pepco or somebody came back and said, there's a lot of infrastructure there and you got to pay to move it, this was a non-starter.
Yeah, but that's not all you need. You also need a street name because you can't have homes without an address.
The
So a
address,
street
yeah,
naming must
they would be
take place.
naming on First Street, that side yard would become the walkway to the entrance. And then what they would do is they would grant us additional addresses. I'm not sure if they'd be considered part of First Street where it go from 1710 to 1712, or I'm not sure. I'm gonna ask the
That's
city.
not how it usually works because the homes
don't
are
know.
facing a different
Yeah,
direction.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask the city how they want it. I'm completely flexible on a lot of this. The key
There's
is
a
really
lot
figuring out.
involved in this.
Oh, there's a lot involved, and that's why I hire professionals. Normally, I do projects that don't require zoning. I get architects involved. I go fly for permits. I build them. I get them inspected. I either sell them or rent them. This is my first PUD. This is my first zoning request. So if I make a mistake, it's because of lack of knowledge. But I've hired a good zoning attorney. I've hired a good traffic consultant to make sure that we address those issues. And if somebody sees something I'm not addressing, bring it up to me because I want to make sure I'm addressing it properly.
So in order to, you're talking about closing an alley, you only had to get talk to the people that lived on that block?
No.
No,
That's
the
why it
people
comes
in the
before the
area.
ANC. What happens is I have to go to the utilities. I gotta get all the people who were directly impacted first, which in this case are just my lots on both sides. Then I gotta reach out to the ANC. So this is gonna come before the ANC at some point, which is why I'm saying it's now. They will get input from the neighborhood to see if there's any objections. But given that this is a dead end alley and the two houses that are at the dead end are mine and I'm closing them to connect to that property, it doesn't impact anybody there. The question is, does it have any negative impact to the community? I don't think it does because that's where you drop, where that part of the alley closes. That's where people dump cars. That's where you get all the illegal dumping. That's where
Well,
you get.
people dump cars all over Eckington,
Yeah.
so you can't put it on the
It's
alley.
particularly bad there. When they dump them, they take months to get rid of them.
But anyway, I kept interrupting because I wanted the ANC to hear what I was saying and how we started this process.
And I appreciate it,
Because we
actually.
do want houses there.
And I actually
But it
appreciate
takes
that
a
because it
lot
makes my
more than
job
that.
easier by us working together.
Just have a process question. So I think we're not voting on anything tonight, but I think there's a series of votes in our future on the alley, on the PUD, probably on the zoning relief.
On the street naming,
Okay.
yeah.
So we better get familiar with this
And
process.
what I'll do is I'll ask the city to find out how the street naming process is. But the first process, will they approve it? Once they approve it, usually after you get approval, that's when you have to go and select a name. They usually don't do that before they do approval.
Yeah.
Now, from a visual standpoint, this is our street alley. Our street houses are here. You've got Choice Academy here. You've got Emory School right here. This is Lincoln Road. There's a dead end alley here. And there was a dead end alley here. We're closing the last 2/3 of it because these are the two houses that were integrated. Now, what we're doing by closing that, we're building, these originally were going to be two side-by-side duplexes sold as a single family. But when we realized that it would make it hard for affordable people to buy them, we said, let's divide them because we can do more affordable that way. Because our choice was, do we take two of these and sell them as affordable where the person buys one and they have a rental unit as part of their affordable? Or do we offer 4 affordable? Now, these units are going to be 3 bedrooms each. It's hard to find affordable 3 bedrooms in the city. So by doing that, we were able to increase our percentage and offer more of them. That was our logic. And if people have ideas or suggestions, I'm open to it. We have filed about 3-4 weeks ago with the city. The Office of Planning spends the next couple of months analyzing it. Although I have to tell you that at our last meeting, after 9 years ago, when the neighborhood voted that they really didn't want, or made it clear they didn't want an apartment building, I have had lots of offers on the land, and every time I say, here's the lots, go talk to planning, see what they say. When we presented this final version to him before we filed, he said, I have to be honest, he said, I've seen over 45 different versions from people, and this is the best use of the space. And what's important about it is all these townhouses are 34 feet in height, which is typical townhouse here is between 35 and 40 feet in height. They're typically cover 60% of the lot coverage, which these do. So the only thing we're asking for from the neighborhood is because normally if you did alley lots, you'd have to face the houses this way and you walk into the alley. we had to file to change the use through a PUD, which allows us to face the houses this way. And it also typically, if you have them facing that when you're doing it under, not doing it under alley lot, they want street frontage. That also eliminates the need for street frontage, which means when people walk in off First Street, they can walk straight in here to go visit the houses. That's a pedestrian walkway, not when people come in off the alley, they can come in to each garage individually. But it takes care of the parking. Since these are tandem parking spots in each of the garages, you've got 26 units, but you got 24 parking spots. But officially from a zoning perspective, it's only 14 spots because tandems don't count as two, they count as one.
Now, each home will be 2 stories above ground with the basement unit,
Correct.
just like our home.
Correct.
Okay.
I just have one more question. What would you, Chris, your jacket. Chris.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe this is more for Commissioner Pinckney, I don't know, but what would you suggest for the next steps for us on this?
Right now, I can't say because I have a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
With the people that sent you the same email.
Okay.
Okay. So once I meet with them to see what they're all about, we'll come back together again.
Can I ask you, have you heard any complaints about this at all? That people are highly objecting to it, or?
No, because you're doing houses, homes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, as long as you do homes, nobody can object. That's not a problem.
Okay, that's great.
It looks like we do have 2 questions online, so let's,
okay.
Let's do those. I know we've gone long on this item, but it's an important one. And
I appreciate you taking the time, actually.
All right, so we'll do Michelle Shelton first, and then after that, Keisha Merritt. I apologize if I'm butchering these names. So we'll start with Michelle. Was it Michelle? Yeah.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Michelle Shelton. I live on the unit block of R Street, in very close proximity to the proposed project. I have spoken with Brian a few times regarding this project, which has morphed over time, different as originally presented months ago. So I'm a little disappointed in that, but I guess I have a couple of questions if time permits. I wanted to understand better the impact of the building on the existing residents. What you provided doesn't show a complete massing study. It appears that the units that are on our street will lose some light and air and as a result of this construction. Has there been a massing study?
And if I could ask you, why don't you ask all your questions and then we'll let them answer.
Okay. Yeah. And then the current design, as stated, shows that there's 3 floors, including the basement and an enclosed roof deck, but that actually operates more similar to a 5-story building than actually a 3-story building, because the first floor is at grade, not below grade. Secondly, I wanted to talk about, I understand he's in for a PUD, which requires community support for the change in height. Has he thought of just constructing what is allowable under a by right use? Let's see. So back to really quickly the massing study. I was recommending that there be one done for the reflective shading impact in spring, summer, fall, and winter. Upon existing residents in the alley level, but there also needs to be a study at street level from our street looking towards First Street on the northeast to show the impact of the height of the proposed new units on the existing homes as well. Another issue is that there isn't enough parking for the proposed units. They're not 1-for-1. And does he need a parking waiver? And then what is his expectation of where those vehicles will park? I imagine there could be a 2-person household in each household, so the likelihood that there's enough parking will be slim. And then one more, there's no reflection on the drawings that I saw that reflect the dumpster. So if it's housing or affordable, I'm not really sure what the plan is for trash collection for that building. If they're considered individuals or one unit, it'll need commercial pickup regardless, I imagine. And then lastly, have you considered alternate designs than the one that we've only seen one? So that's it.
That's okay.
All right, thank you. I've written them all down if
Okay.
you forget any of them, but I'll
Okay,
let you
so
go for it.
for starters, with regards to the design you saw originally and the one presented now, it's virtually identical. We have not varied the footprint, we have not varied the height, we've not varied anything from what we presented 4 months ago. Now, you'd also asked about what saying it read as 5 stories. There is no covered roof deck on the back third of the building. That is at roof level. There's not a roof deck. The rental unit down below is a English basement, so it's down several steps. It's not a full basement, it's an English basement. So that, and the height based on the architect's documents is 34 feet, which is under the 35 required for a traditional townhouse. Now, we massing study for light and shadows, and I actually emailed that to you because one of the things, we are north of you, not south of you. So, and sun goes east to west. We have zero impact on you. You actually have impact on our building from that perspective. Now, as far as trash pickup, because we're selling these as single-family townhouses, or I should say either 2-family flats or single-family, that is considered not a bulk pickup. That's considered a traditional pickup. They will have traditional trash cans, one in each garage or 2 in each garage, however the city hands them out in that area. What else did I miss?
Instead of PUD, have you considered just doing by right, and have you considered alternate designs? And
The alternate designs originally were apartment buildings, and that was shot down. We looked at a couple of other things, none of them made sense. If we do the by right facing the alley, there will be no parking, and we won't be required to have it. The parking requirements under this is actually 1 per every 3 townhouses, but we have
you're providing more than
we're providing more than that. So we're actually exceeding the requirement. We also are doing water retention on the site. So rather than having runoff, this building will be entirely green. We're doing solar on the front, on the north 2/3 of the space to try to take the house close to being it'll be LEED certified. We won't be doing the certification, but we're building to LEED certification. We also are doing a charging station in each of the garages. So the goal was to have no gas, all electric, solar. That's the approach we're taking.
Where are the air conditioners for each home going to be positioned on top?
They will be
of the
positioned
home,
closest.
or are they going to be on the ground?
The unit that is for the English basement, we have not designed it mechanical, electric, plumbing, but based on the initial analysis we've done, we believe the one for the 1-bedroom English basement will be in the unit with the compressor sitting up on the roof closest to Emery. The same thing with the 3-bedroom, 2-bath upper unit, which is 2 floors for the primary residence. That'll also be closest to Emery, farthest from your house to minimize noise levels and disruption. But right now you have neighbors that have package units on your roof, so there's no difference from a noise level from what you'd experience anywhere else.
Are you going to develop this project, or are you going to sell it to someone? After you get all the approval?
I honestly don't know, because here's why I say that, is one of the problems is that the construction of this is going to be $8.5 million. That's what it's going to cost to build all this, between $7.5 and $8.5 million. So the question is, do I have the wherewithal to finance it? I don't know if I do. I may have to bring in partners. Do I want to have partners? Right now, my only partner is my wife, and that's hard enough to answer to her sometimes. But my preference would be to build it. That'd be my preference, and I'm inclined to do that. But a lot of that depends on the interest rates. A lot of it depends on how open the banks are lending at that time. A lot of it depends on, because the second this is approved, my taxable basis for land will go up 5 times or 10 times. So instead of $10,000 or $12,000 a year on taxes for all that land, I'll be paying something like $50,000 or $60,000. So I'll have to carry that. So the answer is, I honestly don't know. My preference is to build, but I don't know. I'm in a
Okay.
long discussion with the developer, or not developer, a builder that would partner with me, and that'd be my preference so far.
Yeah, could you finish Ms. Shelton's question?
Next, we had Keisha Merritt. I think
Oh,
we got through all of her.
Oh,
I think there's a remaining question on parking.
Oh, do you need a park? Well, no, you addressed parking
Oh,
waiver.
okay.
We're
Yeah,
providing.
we
he's
exceed the
providing
parking
more.
requirements for townhouses, and we're far above that.
And we.
But keep in mind, it's 22, from a zoning perspective, it's 14 spots, from an actual perspective, it's 22. I'm sorry, 24 for 26 units.
All right, Keisha Merritt, I think was next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, Merritt. I also, like Michelle, on our street, right in the area that would be affected by these units. So I just had a couple of questions. Did you all talk about the dumpsters? I think you did. You may have.
We said we were looking at that. My preference was not to have dumpsters, so I misspoke earlier. On our original design, we showed dumpsters because I hadn't had the question answered from DPW at that time, because the request was, could we go individually? And the answer was, if you're selling in single family homes, you can. If you're selling it as condos, you can't. And that was our question. That's why we have them showing, and you look in our filing with the city, we show the trash being in each individual garage.
Okay, so my question, I have a couple of questions as well. In regards to the trash, the units or the homes that are already back facing to that alleyway, we have our trash cans in the alley. So I wanted to know if they're going to be garages facing, so they'll be abutting to each other, right? The houses to those garages, then how will those trash cans that we already have that are existing, it seems like that's going to end up being an issue with those people that are going to be in those units. So that's one. And how do you see remedying that situation? The other thing is fire hydrants. Where do you propose that fire hydrants will be placed? Because to me, that also imposes an issue. Also, with everyone, if you're going to have some of these units that will be used as rentals, we find that, especially along the R Street corridor, that there's a heavily use of bikes and scooters and some of the rental bikes. So then where would those be placed? Will you have a bike rack in the alley? Like, what will that look like? And then also from Lincoln Road, will there continue to be access from Lincoln Road to First Street, where you can come from Lincoln Road to First Street and will traffic still be able to come through? And because if you're talking about 3 bedrooms, I'm thinking families. So you have traffic that will be coming through the alley. What does that look like? Like what does that look like? Because it's different for us now if we have families, because everyone has fenced backyards and people really don't use it. But if people are living there and their access is to only come to the alley, what does that look like from a traffic study situation? How does that fare? And then the entryway, going into those units, is the entryway from the front, which faces Emory, or is the entryway for some of the units from the backside where there's a garage for some of the uppers? And then is the entryway to some of those units from the alley as well? Because then that also causes a congestion of traffic in the alley as well. And when you talk about property value on these units and the affordable housing for these units, I'm thinking that 9 times out of 10 will be inclusionary zoning. I'm a realtor, I'm licensed in DC. So I'm thinking that would be inclusionary zoning units that will be there. And you're correct with what you said, they'd have to be a certain amount of income for that. And there's certain requirements. And then with the whole debacle of HPAP right now, that's another situation. But that would definitely mean that there's a certain, like you said, a certain income bracket, you could only make a certain amount to come into those units. So you're saying 1.3 million to be in I just can't see where that would be realistic in an area with congestion in an alley at 1.3 when a lot of the homeowners with more square footage on our street proper can barely get 1.1 to 1.2 or 4 bedroom.
All right, all good questions. Before you answer them, we're at 9:30, which is our adjournment time, unless a commissioner wants to move to extend time, and I think we should at least, that we probably should. So if somebody wants to move that.
Right, because we don't want him to come back for more discussions next month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we could extend, our motion to extend time,
By how long?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Sorry about that.
From Commissioner Pinckney, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Without objection.
Okay, to answer the fire hydrant, there was a new one put on First Street right next to 1710 that will actually address the fire hydrant issue. As far as trash cans, the way the houses are 18-foot wide on the alley spacings. Of that, portion of it is for garage door parking, portion of it is for a door where the trash cans be pulled in. So the trash cans are in the garage. That's why we're designing it for it to be in the garage. That said, most people coming to visit the house are not going to walk through the alley and walk through the garage to get into their house, or even their guests. Their guests are going to walk up First Street. They're going to get right before Choice Education, and they're going to turn left right next to 1710 First Street and walk into that entrance, pedestrian entrance, and that's how they're going to come and go. What were the other questions?
Let's see. Any idea for a bike rack?
Oh, yes.
Traffic on Lincoln Road, and then is it realistic to sell 1.3?
Okay, the traffic on Lincoln Road, it will not change access for between Lincoln and First. None of that's being impacted as far as, we're not encroaching it, we're not blocking it, it's just being left as is. As far as bike racks, we're proposing a total of 12 racks on would be the west side, right next to Lincoln Road. There'll be accessible ones there, and then each of the garages will have a bike rack also. So we exceed the city requirements, I believe 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 for bike rack requirements, as far as that. And then as far as the realistic price, keep in mind that these are going to have solar, they're going to have a charging station, and they're going to be LEED certified. So energy efficiency wise, I built a LEED certified duplex, but actual duplex where each one was 4 bedrooms down in Shaw in 2020. To heat 5,000 square feet, 2,500 per floor, each are 4-bedroom units. In the wintertime, the 2 units combined, I'm paying for gas and electric less than $200 for 5,000 square feet. So that brings you a lot closer to going off grid. I don't think we can make off grid. I looked at it. I was trying to figure out a way to get there. I don't think I can get there, but I think I can get pretty close.
What about emergency vehicles? Speaking of fire hydrants, what about emergency vehicles? Would they go to the front of the building or the back?
They would come in from the Lincoln Alley side.
Okay, because they need to see addresses to go. Okay.
Correct. And then what will happen with they do like every other alley, you'll paint the address on each garage door, and then on the front side you'll have the same thing. And they'll still have the ability to come from the front side, but they'll have to pull the hoses in, just like you see them pulling hoses in through a side yard or something else to get access to a fire. It's logistically.
Sorry, let him finish.
Logistically is no different than any other neighborhood where you have houses in tight proximity.
So you're saying just wanted clarity on one question. So every.
This for the record. Is it Ms. Shelton?
No.
Mary.
Ms. Barrett, all right, go ahead.
The question about the entry, just for the record, just to make for clarity. So you're saying everyone who would enter would go through the same entry, which would be in between 1, 2, 3, the last home in that 3-row, right on First Street. It's like a little breezeway there before you get to the Emory. So everyone from for those units would enter in that breezeway right there. Is that what you're saying?
That's the goal, because you don't want people walking in the alley because you have traffic. If we face the houses and we did matter of right, all of them would face the alley. Everybody would walk into the alley to go to the house. The other thing about that is there will be a garage door, I believe, next to the garage, so they can pull the trash cans in and out. So it doesn't prevent an owner from going out the back door, just like you go out the back door of your house. Will there be some traffic? Yes, no different than any other neighborhood where somebody walks out their back door.
Okay.
All right. Anything more? Looks like Ms. Shelton has her hand up. While we unmute her, I don't know whether that's up from before or if she has another question.
I just have one question. You referenced the, for lack of a better definition, abandonment of the small alley behind the 2 existing units that you own as a part of the full-blown project and the one neighbor on the end. So you would, if that alley becomes abandoned and becomes a part of your project, that means you own it and that the owner on the end would.
Process works once we get all the signatures from all the agencies saying they don't oppose it. Then it sits in a queue with the council members until they get enough of these requests like that citywide, where they twice a year they have a hearing to decide do we support them or not, and then look at the record, and that's how they determine it.
No, I guess what I was trying to get to, abandonment of that portion of the alley would require the one homeowner that's not a part of your project to have an easement to enter his own garage because you would own that alley.
We're not closing behind his alley. We're closing just behind our 2 houses connected to the lot. And we offered to close it and give him an easement or do other options. He didn't care either way. And it was technically easier just to do it as closing up to his property line so that he'll have access to his garage. And we've sat with him one-on-one. I've given him plans. I've met with him repeatedly because I wanted to make sure I had no objections there. I did that before I filed because that was, to me, that was the most important person to have on board.
Okay.
And my goal now was to actually start trying to visit the neighbors. I've talked to 9 neighbors one-on-one. There's 33 neighbors that are adjacent, you and your partner being 2 of them. And I'm working my way around to see if anybody else has any concerns, because the goal is to make sure those are addressed first, because those are the people most impacted.
Time is 9:40. Time for the meeting's expired again.
Okay.
I'll leave it to commissioners to say. We do have a couple more presentations here, so.
Oh, we have 4 more.
Yeah. Commissioner Galvin?
No.
Do we have? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Not hearing a motion to extend time. Try to let them present. Do you know if Ms. Davis is on the meeting? Thank you.
Plug?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They would have a strong preference for meeting today, given they have community deadlines that hit.
Okay, so they do have deadlines. I get that it's late, but we should be interested in hearing about the undergrounding of utilities.
Yeah,
I will move to extend time by 15 minutes. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hurst. Is there objection? Without objection. All right. We will close that over. Would there be any objection to, well, let me go in order. North Capitol Street Deck Over Park, Commissioner Gallo.
No one is on the line for it, so I would recommend we move on.
There is a presentation that we've circulated.
Yeah, we've already
circulated it
circulated
again, just so everybody.
That's fine. Yep.
All right. Ms. Crawford from the Department of Buildings. Mr. Crawford from the Department of Buildings.
You're online, if you could raise your hand.
Oh, I don't think it's here.
My left.
Okay. I'll reach out to him, apologize for that. Daria Davis, DC Plug Feeders. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
I need to make.
Oh, wait, sorry. Not yet.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daria Davis with DC Plug. I'll be sharing the presentation, and Rainisha Quarry, also with DC Plug, will be actually doing the presenting for us tonight. Thank you again for extending the time.
Go right ahead.
And if the person who's going to be doing the speaking can raise their hand, I'll unmute them.
Can I screen share?
Yeah, you should have permission.
This is disabled. I can't do it yet.
Oh. Try now, please.
Okay.
And just so you know, I got a 15-minute extension. I don't know if I can get another one. So.
Okay, no worries. We won't need that much time. We'll be good to go.
right.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Raisha Quarry. I'm with the DC Plug Communications team. Sorry about that. This is our agenda. We're just gonna go over a really high level presentation with you all about DC Plug, feeder 14009. We're gonna do a little bit of background history. We'll talk about how we select feeders and the biennial plan feeders locations. We'll also do talk about some milestones and then the engagement that we are doing and will do going forward, as well as the communication strategies. And we will leave you guys with the email and the phone number. All right, so just a real brief background. DC Plug goes way far back to when 2012 under Mayor Vincent Gray, and under Mayor Vincent Gray's office, they had a task force basically trying to figure out what we can do to have more resilient electricity in the city, in DC. So the task force decided, recommended that DDOT and PEPCO work together on this. It just makes sense if we do this. If we underground the lines, we will put them in the roadway, which is, DDOT's location, and PEPCO will put their lines under. So they work together on this. And thus DC Plug was born. Of course, we had some laws that we had to get passed by. And then we went into the biennial plan approval. So in 2020, we got our first biennial plan approved, and then in 2022, we had our second biennial plan approved, and then the third biennial plan was approved earlier this year. So as far as budget goes, PEPCO's portion of this is $250 million. The district's portion is $187.5 million, and then DDOT is responsible for 62.5. And again, the reason why we're doing all this is just to so we will have a less likelihood of losing power during those big storms. So this is a multi-year program, and we're doing 20 feeders, and they're just the most vulnerable feeders in the area. Next slide, please. All right, so we go through the feeder selection process. Like I just said, we chose the feeders based on which ones are the most vulnerable, so the ones that lose power. We also choose them based on their location. So for DC Plug, all the feeders are in 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8, and that's just because the other feeders 1, 2, and 6 are already underground, and those are the downtown feeders. We also, analyze what's going on. So if PEPCO already has a plan to do some work in a certain area, then we wouldn't put those under the DC Plug because we're doing the ones that really, really, really need it, right? We also identify other projects in the city. So if DDOT has plans to do a rehabilitation project and is already going to dig in the street, then we're going to try to get those lines undergrounded first if we have an opportunity to. So that's what we've been doing there. Next slide, please. All right, so now this is just a biennial plan. So in you guys' area, we are in Ward 5. So that's 14007 is the closest feeder from our first biennial plan. And we can go through these fast, Aria. The next slide. And then on the second biennial plan, we have, 15001. That's in Ward, 14008, which is currently in construction for Woodridge and Brentwood. 14093. Those are the only two for the second biennial plan. And then on the third biennial plan is 14009, which is bolded. And that's the one we're actually here to talk about because it's in your neighborhood in Edgewood. Next slide. So here's the map of the actual location of where that feeder is. So these are the streets. So you'll see Lincoln Road down to Franklin, a little bit of 7th, 10th, Edgewood, 4th, 3rd. This is actually a pretty small one. Just take a look at that to see where we'll be located. And then for business engagement, DC Plug has contractors that are certified business enterprises. It's very important to the project, and it's a big goal for us to work with CBEs. We actually just completed a CBE forum last week, October 12th. I don't know, that's not last week, 2 weeks ago, at DDOT, where we invited all the contractors out because we want to get some subs to
to partner up with our primes to encourage people to come out and work for the program. I actually work for the engagement team that is responsible for creating all the collateral for DC Plug. And we are a CBE, we're women owned and minority owned in the district. And yep, we're always just looking for opportunities to work with CBEs, as DC Plug and independently with DDOT and PEPCO. Next slide. Okay, so I told you I was from the comms team, and basically we have a pretty extensive outreach plan. So right now we're in the design phase, and during this phase, what we do is we meet with the ANC, like I said. So at this point we've already reached out to the council member's office. We've already reached out to the council member's office and the MOCRAs, and now we're having this little presentation with you all. And the next step is that we would host a virtual open house of our own, where we'll go into a little bit more details with the engineers on the phone, and we'll talk about everything. And at this point, we'll get more questions, and we can show you guys more of what the design is going to be. After that, we will meet with the community members who will go door to door to those community members who will receive who will have transformer enclosures near their home. All the transformer enclosures will be in the public right away, but we think it's nice to let people know when something's coming near your home that looks different. So we're gonna meet with you all and give you a packet to educate you on what it is and what's going on and how close it will be to your houses. And then after that, we will leave you during the design phase with a summary, just a one-pager summary of, when construction will happen, and just a reminder of all the things that we've already told you. So then when we get to the construction phase, DC Plug has created an education plan, and that education plan basically promises the public that we will reach out to you guys within 30 days prior to construction, within 15 days prior to construction, and then 7 days prior to construction. After 7 days, you will also see a 72-hour no parking signs growing up in your community once construction is on its way. And then we do our best to stay in the community. So once we're in the construction phase, your outreach team members will attend your meetings regularly. You will get updates regularly. We send out a 2-week look aheads to MOCRAs, council members, and the ANCs impacted, and any stakeholders who would like to be added to that list. We use a lot of social media. We use DDOT and PEPCO social media to promote the DC Plug program, and we even we have fact sheets, door hangers to promote our meetings as well as when construction is happening. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email us at questions@dcpluginfo.com. Give us a call at 1-844. There is a dedicated hotline, 1-844-758-4146, and that is 24 hours. And you can follow us on Twitter at PEPCO. This is PEPCO Connect. And that's all for me. Any questions?
Mr. Sani?
Yes, so I am one of the ANC commissioners representing the part of Edgewood that is being touched by the project is 5F02. Commissioner Hurst, 5F01 is the other one. And I'm also a resident along Franklin, so I'll be one of the people directly affected by the construction. I understand the importance of hardening our power grid in this time when we've damaged our planet to the point where catastrophic things are happening daily. My concern is with what DC Plug has been doing in Ward 4 with regards to announced construction times. You have not been doing it within the window of time that you've been assuring the community. Councilmember Janice Lewis-George has written open letters to you all demanding accountability on that. I encourage you to continue to engage with not only ANC but Councilmember Parker's office, because Franklin Street is a minor arterial. It is a huge connector for folks in this community. Anything that's not to a schedule where people can't plan their school pickups, or there are 6 schools within the stone's throw where I live, all these things are going to be massively impactful to neighbors. And I want to make sure that y'all recognize the importance of keeping to the times of construction, not just the days, but the times of the day, because that is critical for this. So I understand we're running on time. I don't want to drill into this too much, but please reach out to me. I want to make sure you're engaging the community properly. And additionally, on top of that, I want to make sure that where there's some accountability as we go throughout this, because if a Ward 4 council member cannot get like an answer 2 months after writing a letter, like being public about it, I'm kind of concerned about what that means for us.
We'll let her respond and then we'll close it there. If you want to respond.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. As far as I am concerned, the response has developed and sent out. There are a few approvals. As you can understand, DC Plug is Pepco and DDOT, so the approvals come for both sides. But the response has been drafted. I've seen it, and what I can say is that from my perspective, I do the whole communications for the whole entire project. We're in Ward 4, 15009 theater. There's more than just a DC Plug project. However, we're the only ones with a very big sign. So it's very easy to say that DC Plug is working. I mean, it's working past hours. It's very easy to say that DC Plug is doing this and doing that because we're the only ones who are saying who we are. I that's all I can really say about that right now. But I will definitely work with you guys. Councilmember Louis George does receive the schedules that I said that you all get bi-weekly, and you all will
that concludes other reports and presentations. Appointment of Daniel Aaron Price to the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Jeremy Dans appointed a member of the Transportation and Public Space Committee. Hanniger as a member of the Public Safety Committee. Is there any objection to treating all of these together? No. All right, without any objection, I'll move that we make those appointments. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection? Without objection.
I do.
Oh, you object. All right. So there is objection, so we'll move to a vote then on those appointments.
I just have a question more. I have a question more so of an objection.
Okay.
I'm listening. And my question is, prior to the door knocking and the start of this project, will they be coming out? Could they come out to, let's say, single member district meetings to inform the residents, I call them constituents, of the plans? That was my question. I mean,
still on. Yeah. Okay, can we unmute her? Ms. Davis, I think there was one more question. I don't know if you heard it. I can repeat it if you didn't.
Is it for me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, yes, we are very open to meeting. And if you guys want us to come out to your SMD meetings, I'm very open. I'm open to all of that. So absolutely, no problem with that. You said prior to the construction phase, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And prior to the door knocking. Could you put your information back up so that I can send you an invite?
Okay, you can send me that. Yeah, go ahead, Daria, put it up. It's questions@dcpluginfo.com.
Yeah, if you chat it to me, I'll probably for everyone to take, because I think it would be important.
No problem. Thanks. Sorry.
Because I'm also a ANC commissioner of Edgewood, and I like to keep my people informed.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, you objected. That wasn't on the appointments. That was on the plug thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll ask again, any objection on the committee appointments? All right, seeing none, those appointments are made. Next are announcements. I can guess what will happen here. I'll go down the line. Commissioner Anderson.
I yield. I know we had added an agenda item, but we're at time, so I'll connect with the presenter after the meeting.
Okay. Apologize for that. Commissioner Bishop Henchman, I yield. Commissioner Galvin, yield. Commissioner Hurst, yield. Commissioner Pinckney.
So others might eat open last week, 14 levels. It will help quite a few people throughout the city.
Yeah. Commissioner Sonny.
Quick, Commissioner Williams and I did an awesome public safety walk with Councilmember Parker and Councilmember Pinto. Police were there as well as the violence reduction team. Very happy we got to introduce some of our neighbors on 7th and Girard to the police captain as well as Councilmember Parker. We hear your concerns and we are making sure those are addressed by leadership.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
I have none.
Sorry, Commissioner Bishop Henchman. I just know that the presenter for 13G is in the room, and I think some folks have stayed on the line to provide some comments. Is there any chance we would be open to extending the time for 5 minutes for those comments to be heard?
It is not up to me, it's up to the whole commission. So I think you've made your there, so you can make the motion and see how it goes.
All right, I would make the motion to, given the presenters are in the room and people have stayed on, to extend the meeting by 5 minutes.
One second.
Second by Commissioner Galvan. Is there objection? Without objection. All right, Commissioner Anderson, 5 minutes.
Evening.
Great. I'll turn this over to Michael, who is in the room, but these are the developers who presented at last month's meeting. Just wanted to open the floor to continue the conversation for neighbors to voice their opinions on the project.
Thank you for being here and for staying there.
Much appreciated. Appreciate the time. The project designer is online as well, Bert Meekins. He can share the plans for those online. I'm not going to go through the whole presentation unless there's areas of particular interest. I know there's some folks on the line who want to share their input, but I wanted to just summarize that we are seeking 3 areas of relief for a 7-unit apartment building at 1914 2nd Street Northeast. Those 3 areas of relief are conversion to an apartment building, removal of an architectural rooftop element, and a rear addition which extends beyond 10 feet. I'll leave it at that. The owner is on the line, and she didn't get a chance last month to present. I thought that she could just quickly summarize her history in the neighborhood and her goals for this project.
What's her name?
Numu Kamara.
I think she had her hand up. Oh, right there. Third one.
Oh, third. Yeah, right here.
All right, sorry, we're unmuting you, Ms. Kamara. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Ms. Kamara?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nomo Kamara, and I reside here at 1941 2nd Street Northeast. I bought this property in 1997. It was not in very good condition, and I renovated it because I have a big family and I wanted to live here. It used to be a 4-unit apartment, and I converted it to a single family home. And during the time that we moved in here, the neighborhood was very, very bad. There were drug dealers, people stealing cars and put them at the back of the building and sleeping there. Crime was very huge in this neighborhood. People standing out there like second and V, second and U. It was very creepy walking around here, even during the daytime. But the developments that has come to the neighborhood has changed the infrastructure of this place, and I'm very, very happy about that. And I want to be a part of it. And like I said, I've lived here. In fact, I had my last baby while I already moved here, and he's 25 years old now. So I've lived in this neighborhood for longest, and comparing the way the neighborhood was to now, there's a big improvement because of the development that is happening in this our Eckington area. So that's what I really want to continue doing with this my property. So I want to develop it, but I'm going to still remain to be here. I'm going to still take one of the units to continue to live here, because I've actually lived in DC. I would say this year makes me 40 years living in Washington, DC. Washington, DC is like a home for me. I've lived here since I was a teenager, and so it's been a long time, and I want to continue to live here. And I just hope that the neighborhood will continue to improve as it is happening right now. So I hope I'll be able to get the opportunity to, move on with the projects that I'm planning to do. That's all I can say at this point.
Thank you, Numu.
You're welcome.
We'll take any questions.
All right, we do have 1 minute for questions. Looks like nobody in the room, and I think that might be Mr. Wing online there. Yep. I think we're unmuting, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Numu, thank you for sticking with the neighborhood even through some rough times. And Michael, good to see you again. I want to choose my words carefully, given that Michael has a little bit of a history taking things out of context and comments that I've made in past meetings like this. It's tough to get on board, and of course it's Numu's property. She can develop it as she pleases, within reason. I am concerned and would like to hear more about going from a 4-unit or a 4-bedroom single family home to a 22-bedroom apartment home in 7 units. So Numu, Michael, maybe we can talk about that offline sometime, given that the hour is late. But I would like to know more about that as your immediate neighbor, as well as your construction plans. I mean, Michael, as you're aware, there are deficiencies with this building. I just want to make sure that we're coordinating construction and minimizing disruption to not only our building, but also other neighbors as well.
We are at time, but I do want to give you a chance to respond and then let Commissioner Anderson sum up if she wants to.
Yeah, we're happy to continue the conversation. I think we are here tonight asking for the BZA relief. And so I think for purposes of the ANC, I think the conversation is best kept at the areas of zoning relief being requested.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, and then we'll let Commissioner Anderson sum up if she wants to.
That's great. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Anderson, anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, why don't we take some time to find a time for neighbors and Michael and your group to kind of meet together and talk about any issues. But I do think you have a point that there's an area of influence where we can have regarding the relief. So why don't we find some times, given the hour is late, but thank you so much for staying on, and we'll put this on the agenda formally next meeting so that there's advance notice so that neighbors can come. But let's try to find time before that to talk.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, and I apologize to everyone skipping over that. That was on the agenda. It was added to the agenda. I think that's everything. Does any commissioner have any other business before the commission?
Cut off before Commissioner Williams got her chance to know.
Oh, you're right. Commissioner Williams, we were on announcements, and I think we still had you.
No, I had anything.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any other business? Seeing none, we are adjourned at 10:07 p.m. Our next meeting will be November 28th. Thank you all.
For the record, I say.